if I was going to use what you just said, that would kind of like to kind of support my argument that
Hmm.
you get what I'm saying, brother Ernest, because
Oh yeah.
you just said there are more double parent homes, but yet our children are doubly scarred as opposed to those single family homes. You feel me, G? So
Yeah, let me tell you,
I'm
I used to
saying,
work with I used to work with this psychiatrist, Dr. Williams, Johnny Williams, and he used to always say in our staff meetings, if the kids are going home to two crazy parents, what do you think your chances are in being able to actually effectively assist this kid? And because I used to be in homes with parents, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not the best parent in the world, but man, let me tell you, I've seen some things transpire between parents and kids in their homes, and that was while I was there, and I was working for the state at the time. So to even imagine what could have been going on while I wasn't there, um, it's just a lot. There are a lot of variables that we cannot even consider to begin to cover in this particular conversation. We would take some time for us to really look at like what you're talking about, parents that are really scarred, parents that have their own trauma that has been unaddressed, parents that don't know how to deal emotionally, don't know how to handle themselves emotionally, don't know how to handle themselves cognitively, don't know how to handle themselves behaviorally, don't know stress management, all of these kinds of things that we're talking about today that makes a person regulated in this kind of culture, right? So there are a lot of factors that just makes it very difficult for us to like really, quantify. Man, my phone is blowing. Is
Yeah,
it?
that's I'm sorry, that's me and Rob.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, what is going on? All right. So yeah, it just makes it difficult for us to, and then if we layer that what you're talking about, Rob, with what Benita just talked about, how the family looks different today, right? You have pansexuals, you got non-gender identifying people, you have lesbian, gay homes, and the value systems are different. Morality is different, and so like it kind of the spectrum increases like in terms of what we can expect to the outcomes to be in people's with these kids today. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I
Let
don't
me
know.
say, I'd like to say this. I want to make sure that we set the tone with this. A child considers themselves to be part of their mother and their father. A child as early as 3 years old know that they did not come out the womb from a woman and a woman or a man and a man. They
Okay.
know that who they are is the makeup of a woman and a man. Okay. So even though we want to be open minded, correct to all of these other lifestyles, um, a child doesn't see it that way. A child considers themselves to be part of their mother and part of their father. So if they were in a home with, say, two women or two men, the first thing that's going to pop in their head when they start trying to figure out their identity, who I am, where did I get my nose from, how am I, why am I here on earth, like who brought me to this place, like
Yeah.
how and or why do I think this way, like any of those identifying type questions. When they're trying to figure themselves out, they're not connecting that to two women or two men or two, you know what I'm saying?
I get what you.
So and the part that causes the sadness, the part that causes the depression, the part that causes these feelings of it to the point of suicidal ideation is not having a solid rooted identity, a sense of self, a sense of pride, a sense of comfortableness with who they are. And then if they cannot actively, comfortably love who made them, then that's also creating problems. So say it's one of these alternative type lifestyles. It's not the traditional family. Say
Okay.
it's like a woman and a woman or a single headed household, whether that household is headed by a woman or a man. It's not the complete makeup of what made the child. Then there has to be a lot of attention and care to make sure that that child has the freedom to love that other parent. If I, like, for instance, if mama say daddy ain't shit, and then the child hears mama say that, then now the child thinks, oh shit, I can't love my father comfortably in front of her because she doesn't love him. If I love my father, now I'm pissing my mother off because my mother's already told me he ain't shit. So
Mm.
now my identity, now I can't fully 100% be who I want to be or be him, to hide a me because I love what created me. And if I cannot love outwardly, if I can't love out loud who created me, I'm starting to internalize this now in a negative way. I'm starting to feel bad about myself. And then if my daddy ain't shit, then I'm at least half not shit. As we're going through this conversation, I want to please keep in mind the children. That's the whole reason why I'm having. That's the whole reason why I'm seeing, like, once the child is grown or an adult or has already solidified their identity, they can be a part of whoever and whatever kind of family.
Okay.
But while they're still developing who they are,
Let me let me.
The
Oh, go ahead,
development,
Robert.
the development process is going to consist of who they around, who they up under, who is
Right.
giving them nurturing, who not giving them nurturing. I understand the premise of, as a child, seeing something that would seem, I want to be politically correct in my explaining this, being that there may be some difficulty understanding the family dynamic if it happens to be those of an ulterior lifestyle. You feel me? Because it doesn't feel natural, right?
Okay.
So, a couple of things I think stated is that in this day and age, the way the dynamics is now, we may, if this process that we're having this discussion now is based on the betterment of children, I would like to think that the encompassing of even more dynamics in regards to physical, gender relationships with people has to be taken into account, at least anticipating it, because it's so vast and sporadic now. So to try to promote this, and I don't want to say beneath you promote. I get the premise of what you think. I'm just in the process of just trying to encourage that, because of the way the world is constructed today, the way young people, and I work with young people from various walks, from good kids to the most violent, the most violence. Who I got 15, 16-year-old who got murders under their belt already. They murdered people. They murdered people.
Yeah.
You have said you dealing with you're dealing with a whole ball of wax with that in adult.
Right.
And all of them, but all young people have a sense of understanding the dynamics of alternative lifestyle and being acceptable more so than anybody else on this screen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think that because I understand the dynamics of these kids, I got to put my own biases to the side of how I was raised and how I see things. Because if I try to look at it at them through my eyes, Joe, they gonna always be fucked up. Excuse my
Right.
language. They
Right.
gonna always
You're right
be
though.
fucked up, because that ain't how I came up. But that's the way it is, and they take it as natural.
Hmm.
So I think it becomes, again, the premise of us being able to try to have positive conversation on having the most stable, healthy, emotional, spiritual, right? It's always a three-headed component to that for our young people is the work that we do. I got to get wrapped around, like I've been dealing in outreach and violence prevention for the last 13 years, man. One of the things that I've noticed is that shit about me talking about, bro, you don't got to use no gun. You don't got to be Blackstone. You don't got to be gangster. You don't got to be one of the
Okay.
rich. That
Yeah.
shit
Okay.
don't mean nothing when a motherfucker go home and so out of, and Benita, you guys know. So out of that 9 hours they up and moving around,
Come on,
the only
man.
part of information or encouragement that they get is an hour and a half, 4 hours, 3 hours. And then the rest of the shit that they get during the course of the day is double negative
Right.
than what positive we already tried to give them.
Come on,
So,
bro.
I just wanted to bring that up as a means to try to like steer our conversation, because I'm trying to be solution driven, right? And I know we can't be solution driven if we don't know what the problem is. I think we know what the problems are. I think we just so conditioned sometimes when we have these type of settings that we crush the problems down to minuscule type of deals, right? When we already know what that is. Let's try to see how we can challenge ourselves to get these unhealthy parents,
Right.
providers, we got to deal with them because they the ones who got our babies.
That's right. And let me just say this to Benita's point and Robert's point. The old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people that raised me. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people that poured into me, that gave me, that challenged me. Like, oh man, I didn't think about it. It's a lot of people. And we think about the young people who are raised in our like neighborhood. And I hate to kind of like, stereotype neighborhoods like Inglewood, because it's not that all kids that are Inglewood come out like that or whatever. But I know that there are a lot of kids who are in neighborhoods and they don't come out of those neighborhoods. So that limits the people who get to pour into them, who get to influence them. Obviously, we're in a virtual world today, and it makes it a lot more, different in terms of, the reach that people can have on them. But typically, kids are reaching towards things that, in my judgment, that are not really developing them. It's just kind of helping them understand a little bit more about their own world. They're not really being challenged outside of that world. But for me, I know there were gay people that poured into me, people that mentored me. There were straight people that mentored me. There were people, I don't know what they were. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of different people, man, who made me to be halfway decent the way that I am. So I just wanted to make that point as we proceed forward. And we own too, just so y'all know.
Thank you, Ernest.
Hey, this is my other good brother, Sun Toucher, Malik Sun Toucher. He's actually a Canadian. Sun Toucher, were you born and reared in Canada? You gotta unmute yourself. We can't hear you if you're trying to talk, bro. But anyway, he's from Canada, and I thought he would absolutely give us some good information. Are the things the same across a different country? Are we looking at some of the same issues?
Mm-hmm.
And then Brian, we haven't heard from you. I'm real curious about what you're thinking. I see you over there like this, like So what you got on your mind?
Oh, well, I'm just sucking it in right now, processing everything. But as what's his name, Ernest said, it does take a village, and I think we lose the perspective of the village concept. Of course, the people inside of your house will shape you the most. But in my experience, you either drawn to something or you push far away from it. Like my mother was a smoker. I never smoked. It's nobody ever even told me not to smoke. My mother never used drugs. My mother had a conversation with me about everything under the sun besides drugs. I asked her when I was about 25, I said, hey, why didn't you ever have a drug conversation with me? She said, because I knew who you were. So, and as Ernest stated, I had a ton of people. Some of my coaches, Woody Green, Jimmy Fields, Fred Thomas, they were pouring into me. People just in the neighborhood, they saw the potential. They poured into me. So more than the in-house family, I think the communal family is what's lacking, because having addicted or maladjusted people in your household is nothing new. It's just, we see it now. It's right here. There's no way to, just like, remember, if you're old enough, nobody ever said somebody was using drugs. They always said, oh, he's drunk. They never told you that dude is getting high, he's using heroin. Now we introduce our children to those ills. So of course, it's an overload of information. Maybe, just maybe, we slow down on the information and start pointing to the kids what they truly need, just to slow down this mutated development, so to speak.
Mutated development. I like that.
Hey, how y'all doing?
It's a pleasure to meet you, bro.
Hey, this is Taraz. I have a quick question for y'all. Mental illness in the Black community.
What's the question, Taraz?
Mental illness.
So I was just going to go there too, right? So to Brian's point, right? Like I noticed, like, so it's Brian, Ernest, Torres, and Miss Whitfield. And I don't know the three brothers, right? But I know Miss Whitfield. And you guys have probably a premise of a upbringing, because you guys seem to have a premise of some core beliefs, some core thought processes, shall I say. I'm from a single parent mother. My mother had me when she was 15, right? I came up in stateway projects, 35th estate. I started gang banging at the age of 14, but I stayed with my grandmother. My grandmother is she taught Afro history at Chicago Vocational High School, CVS, second largest high school in the city, right? And she came up in the 60s. I remember being 7 years old, sitting in them, and she would sit me literally and make me, she didn't have to make me, but I listened to Malcolm X records when I was 7.
Wow.
Articulate what I was hearing at that time, but I understood the business, right? Fast forward, I'm 14 years old. First day of high school, I'm smoking squares. Second day of high school, I'm drinking, smoking weed, and everything else coming down the pipe. Plus, I'm a Black Stone, and I'm in it. CBS, second largest high school in the city, right? I've been to the penitentiary 6 times. I got 13 years invested in that nonsense, right? Plus dealing with substance abuse. The reason why I'm saying that, I'm giving you this backdrop is because I'm understanding from my personal experience, Brother B, that there is no panacea that ails us. There's no one thing that's going to be able to say, this the magic lick, bro, and we're going to be cool. And in this day and age, with all the overload of information that you can't even read, Instagram, Clubhouse, Pornhub, the black web, they bartering and trading on Facebook like you go to Walmart, bro. So I'm saying, like, I think that the minds here is so valuable. It's so valuable, bro. I would love to just like pick all y'all minds and like take y'all to certain places so y'all can, you know what I'm saying? So people can understand how valuable it is to take what all of you guys are saying and try to incorporate it in with the world that we live in. Because the world that we live in today, I deal with, like I said, I always have to use the premise of how I deal with kids, because I deal with the most violent, like the shit you see on the news where motherfuckers carjacking and shit. Like, I know these kids. You feel me? And I'm saying that to say that it is extremely imperative that we take into account that we're dealing with severely maladjusted, undiagnosed, mentally ill, Torres, individuals. Mentally ill. We just had a kid Friday say he finna kill himself, right? He 18 years old, just got out the penitentiary. Other guys around his house are on his ass, trying to kill him.
Right.
He on Instagram and Facebook making posts about smoking on one of their homies, smoking on a dead homie. But all the time, he calling me saying, you don't love me, Rob, because why you ain't come and get me? I know who love me. I only got a God that love me. And then he goes on this tangent for about 45 minutes, bro. And I'm not, hey, listen, man, I ain't no psychiatrist. I ain't no therapist, none of that shit. But I've been a cellmate. And I've been a cellmate with motherfuckers who've been diagnosed. And
that's real, bro.
And so I'm saying the mentally ill space, Torres, my nephew is 21 years old. I told Benita about him. My nephew graduated from Simeon. He 21 years old. He just got diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenic at 19, bro. It ain't a fucking lock on the door, on none of the doors in this house. He unkicked every door in, bro.
Yeah.
He kicked every door, and it's like, I didn't understand it then. He would cry, like he would think that he was not giving the love and attention and support as his other siblings were, right? And all of us, we took it as though, you know, shit, he just needs his ass whooped. Or he just,
right.
You know, or he just suffering from, you know, going through the phases of adolescence. Come to find out, man, my motherfucking nephew hurting and suffering, man. You did?
Yeah.
And
real hurt. Real suffering.
We don't have, and Torres, like my sister has become a champion for mentally ill now. And do you know, like, so there is not a major mental ill facility in the state of Illinois that's state ran, bro. And we got all these kids that's asking for change. They ain't just strung out on, they self-medicating. You know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying? But to Torres' point, a lot of them, they ain't even diagnosed.
Right. Right. Yeah, they don't have the reason. Again, I think many years ago we talked about one of the governors who basically took all of the or stopped all of the funding for state run. Yeah, who was that? Who was it?
Governor Ronna.
Ronna. It was somebody before him too, though.
Jim Thompson.
Who was it?
Jim Thompson.
Thompson. There you go, Thompson. He removed all of that funding, and people obviously tried to incrementally bring it back. But yeah, he was one of the ones who said this is not valuable. It's not valuable to spend money there. And now we can see the outcomes of that, right? Because people who do need that kind of funding, those people, because they're citizens, regardless of how you want to look at it, they need those resources to be able to be supported and to be able to be housed and to be able to be cared for. Because a normal person doesn't have the faculty on how to actually take care of a person who is suffering from something as major as paranoid schizophrenia. That is a major a mental illness, man. That is a major mental illness versus someone who may have, personality disorder is obviously a major particular illness as well, because those are people who just cannot see what they're doing. They just cannot understand the impact of what they're doing. But you have some lesser, you may be dealing with some emotional issues, kind of bipolar or whatever have you. But again, in my judgment, when a person is dealing with paranoid schizophrenic, they are dangerous, man. They are dangerous. That is like a what do you call it? Not a firecracker, but stick of dynamite, bro. At any given moment, anything can happen. And so you're right, Rob. And Therese, thanks for bringing this piece up, because for me, there are a lot of people, adults, parents, who are dealing with undiagnosed mental illnesses, and their parents. And you standing next to them in the shopping line, and you driving next to them, and sometimes you working with them. You know what I'm saying? You worshiping with them, and they keep a good facade on that everything is good, but they really suffering, man. And for whatever reason, in our culture, it's not cool to admit that you're ill.
That's key right there. When you say that right there, we as Black people, we scared to go sit on somebody's couch.
Yes, sir.
Get their help
because of the stigma. What is that? Because again, what does that say about you, Brian? If you got to go to a psychiatrist and you got to take medication, because what do we used to say about people? That goes back to Robert's point. We didn't call people drunk. What do we call them when people was crazy in our neighborhood?
Crazy as hell.
There you go, crazy, right? And so it's the same thing, and that keeps people, in my judgment, those types of labels from going to get the help that they need. Because I ain't crazy. Who are you talking about? I ain't crazy. I take care of my family. I do what I need to do. I go to work. I do, I drink. Yeah, I may drink. I may smoke, but I ain't crazy. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what, Ernest? I've learned in my times in the street, gang banging, everybody wanted to make their name for themselves. You feel me?
Right.
So people be like, man, I'm crazy as hell. I've come to learn, like when you say you crazy, ain't shit wrong with you. The people who crazy think they normal.
Right.
I'm just saying, bro. That's how you know there's some disconnect. You know what I'm saying? When you see somebody walk outside right now with no boots on, walk up to you and say, "What's up? You got a light?"
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things I wanted to talk about. So I deal with a lot of youth.
Wait, Rob, I got a question. So the person that you said 19 who was he expressed a desire or expressed a suicidal ideation, does he have both his mother and father in the home with him?
So that I'll give you a backdrop as to what I know it to be, right? He doesn't know who his father is. His mother is extremely emotionally unbalanced herself, and hers may not be from the standpoint of a mental diagnosis that need to be done, but a psyche valve I know wouldn't hurt. Secondly, is I do know that the trauma that she has incurred, and I ain't never talked to this lady more than her name, because of the work that I suffer from trauma. I had to go to a therapist, and so it's like talking to Brian or Torres or Ernest. Even though we ain't never met each other, we mirrors of each other. So some of the shit that I got, I can see it in them because I got it. You know what I mean? And that stuff goes unaddressed. And
Yeah.
so
Only reason why I wanted you to answer that part of the question is because that goes back to my theory, which is I still I'm receiving this. Like I'm sitting with children, hundreds of children in a 20-year span, and I have never once had a child who expressed a suicidal ideation come from an intact family. And
Really?
and what we call as an intact family is with the mother at home and the father at home. Now I have had one child out of all the hundreds. I had one whose mother and father got along really well. They didn't talk bad about each other. The father picked him up every morning and brought him to school. Father did not live in the home together with this child. However, they both were contributing and working really hard to make sure that the child got what he needed. What he said to me when he was like, hey, I want to kill myself, his was because one of his classmates, he didn't get along with his classmates. They teasing me, they bullying me. All the other children, all the other hundreds, every time I said, hey, what happened? Why did you wait? What's causing you to want to hurt yourself? Their response always was, well, my mama don't like my daddy. My daddy don't like my mama. My mama won't let me see my daddy. My daddy won't let me see my mama. My mama won't let me go stay with my daddy. It was always something relating to their parents or their relationship with their family. So that's why I'm looking at, so now I'm seeing not only that, in the school system, being able to say, I know my daddy. I'm going to spend time with my daddy on Friday. Being able to say that is bragging rights for our children in the public school system. So
my whole thing.
There's definitely a lot of layers to this. But one thing that I missed is that if mom and dad are in the home, those children don't come to me with problems of sadness or depression or suicide. Yes, they do come every now and then. You'll see them maybe academically, they might be low. And so then we help them get them special ed or something like that. But they're not coming to me with these super depressed, even, and these households aren't perfect. Like they may have some, arguing or whatever goes on in the house, but the child still doesn't come to me with these issues. They see their family as a protective unit.
And let me jump in there. Can I jump in there for a minute?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, man. What you gonna say?
Rob and Rob.
I'm Rob. He's Rob. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah. Anyway, like Rob, I've been listening to you and Ernest go back and forth on some points, of interest, of course. But one of the things that I see is that I'm a fan. You know how like those cats be doing the YouTube videos and they be like, nigga, you a fan, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like when you following them and you ain't necessarily one of their buddies or in their alliance. You know what I mean?
No question. I'm just in agreement with you. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so my point is, I really study the psyche of these cats. I study it, and I give them a pass in this regard to say that a lot of, because this is what we're talking about to me. We're talking about the future, our future generations. We're talking about the young men and young women and the culture that's made up. That's what we're talking about to me. We can be talking about a lot of shit, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the instincts of their mindset, how their mindset is made up, and what we're trying to point to them and what we're trying to get them to understand or what we need to learn from them in order for us to have any type of dialogue or communication with however they're going to move forward, right? This is how I'm looking. So in this culture, I realize that they are born in inherited blood culture. Like this is the Black people blood culture that they're born in. And so we go reaching back and we're talking about every nationality of people got a blood culture. So when we're talking about our young Black people, our Black men and women of today, we are directly looking at the blood culture, and that shit is exciting to them. It is a way of life. It It ain't like we just like, man, you know, let's send them on down there and send them a box of cookies and shit, you know, and send them some shoes. It ain't that. Clout come with this shit. Clout come with it. Broads come with it. Females come with it. You know what I'm saying? Respect come with it. You know what I'm saying? And these mothers turn themselves into serial killers.
True story.
These are serial killers. These motherfuckers. See, I'm stuck, Rob, like in a certain sense, you know, well, you're gonna be Rob when I'm talking to you. So Rob, that. But anyway, I'm stuck in this sense. I find myself, you know, empathizing for them and feeling for them just based off of our dysfunctional upbringing, you know, at the end of the day, but it felt like I'm rooting for serial killers at the end of the day. You know what I mean? That's a bad place to be in. You're like, damn, you know, I understand part of their story, you know, I understand they got mental illness and I understand that, you know, and then I start looking at their talent and I'm be like, damn, King Von, this little motherfucker got talent, man, or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? FBG Duck got talent, man. These are serial killers we talking about, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? For you just said, if you was talking to one of them and to tell them that, man, they look like, who is this snitch ass nigga? You know what I'm saying? Who is this mom? You know what I'm saying? They, you know, instantly, like, you ain't understanding. This is our future. These are the future we talking about. And you know who following them all the way to the grave? The females.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the way to the grave.
Because
All the way to the grave.
and let me
They
just throw
follow
this in
all
real
of
quick.
now.
Let me throw this in real quick because you can continue because you think about what King Von's sister has done since his death. I didn't even know the brother had a sister. You know what I'm saying? Until he died. And so just to see the drama that has been following her since this brother has died is proof of what you're talking about. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
And so, go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead, man. You about to do.
So you know the thing is, right, when FBG Duck got killed, they asked, because of the work that I do and the individuals who I'm up with, they asked a couple, they ain't asked me directly, but they asked a couple of brothers, hey Joe, we all fall through the funeral, man, so we can try to make sure ain't so that shit wasn't even in Chicago. Leah Lightfoot, like, y'all got to shoot that shit somewhere else because they anticipate what's coming behind it, right? Then the demonstration happened with King Von, right? So just mind you, now, like you just said, our kids are turning into these people who are committing these atrocious acts, and they are so desensitized to it to an extent. And the reason why I say to an extent is because it's a very small portion of them, Rob, who are sociopaths. Very, very small portion of them. The rest of their ass suffer from low self-esteem so much, and they get high so much that it puts them in the mindset again. Because I know them footsteps. I ain't getting in the morning just going to shoot at no motherfucker. See, it ain't in me. I'm a human being who got compassion and love for people. I don't want to see people hurt, but I want Brian to like me. And if I got to shoot the shit out of Ernest in order to get that, then that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
So then I'm gonna go get high first, though.
Right.
So if I keep getting high more, y'all already know if I'm 15 years old and I'm smoking, goddammit, 7 grams of weed in one motherfucking blunt, and I'm smoking 5 or 6 of these bitches within 7 hours. Come on, man. And listen, we ain't gonna talk about the pharmaceuticals. We ain't gonna talk about the promethazine. We ain't gonna talk about the mental ill medication that's unprescribed that these little motherfuckers taking on top of all that.
True.
The family structure that Benita has brought this premise of conversation to begin with is, since I love you to death, and I would love, and I know in an idealistic society we would be able to promote a healthy 2-parent man-female relationship household that would give our kids a shot. I just got to say, from my vantage point, I don't know if I'm gonna see that in my lifetime on the mass scale.
Man, that's deep, man. That's deep, man.
I'm gonna see that. And so my thing about being around
Brian want to say something. Brian want to say something.
Go hold on. I just want to say, and my thing about being around y'all is to see if I could get some ideas on how to make the households as healthy as possible, given the dynamics that are already in existence.
That's real, Rob.
Yeah. That's one of the purposes of these conversations. Go ahead, bro. Oh, you're on mute, bro. Yeah.
what Robert just said actually is leading right into what I want to say. I think a portion of this, a large portion to be exact, because the upbringing, the only difference between Robert's upbringing and my upbringing is no gang, no drugs. I was born in the village on the west side of Chicago, and I moved to Cabrini Green. Subtract the drug addiction, subtract the Blackstone, and we have the exact same life. I didn't go to the penitentiary, but what I noticed is it's a lack of structure too. When you don't create a structure or foundation, things run amok, and we don't hold people to academic structure. We don't hold people to social structures anymore. We don't hold people to communal structure, and people just do. Oh, well, we don't do that anymore. Having a traditional conversation. Robert could count to 10, and it is okay for me to stop him at 3 and just start talking. Like the fact I was holding up my hand as a show of respect to everybody in the situation. People don't do that anymore. And it goes back to, somebody said this at the very beginning. The parents can't pour into a kid what they don't have. I think what we're looking at is a community filled with a bunch of people who assume that their parents was picking on them when they was establishing structure. You have to be here by this time. You have to do this by this time. And when you don't set those foundations and those barriers up, then he's just run them up. Like Robert said he was addicted to drugs. But I can guarantee you, if I'm assuming you 50, Rob, am I assuming correctly? Or in that area?
51, bro.
Right. I'll be 51 in August. So we the same age. Check this out. It was at one point, no matter how bad Rob was doing, if my mom walked past Rob, he tucking that joint. He putting that square because it was structure there. So I don't know if it's necessarily all these people are dealing with mental illness. It's just like with anything else. If the first time Rob ever gets his ass whooped is by Brian, or gets checked is by Brian, he feels like he has been totally demoralized and emasculated. He feel like shit, and he already ain't the happiest dude in the world because of his circumstances. So you know what? Rob down here, my man, Son Toucher, you, and I like Benita. So Brian kicked my ass in front of the girl I like and the dudes who I look up to. So I got to wild out now, because at one point when me and Rob was younger, he disrespected me. Even if he right, if he checked me, we gonna shoot some. But now we gonna shoot some. I don't ever want to deal with you ever again. And I believe that's a major contributor to this erratic behavior. What I think of some of this stuff that is being seen as mental illness is lack of structure, no barrier. I mean, it was a way to gang bang when we were kids. It was a way to do everything. If you want to smoke weed, you went around to the corner to the alley. Ha ha, we sneaking doing this. The cats will file a joint in front of a police officer and say, "What you tripping for?" This whole snitching thing. We allow the TV to tell us how to live. Like the whole stop snitching. Every time I hear this stop snitching thing, it just makes me want to slap somebody, because the whole stop snitching thing has nothing to do with me and Rob at a liquor store and Miss Jackson telling on us. It got everything to do with me and Rob at a liquor store. Rob get home and I say, "Rob." That's what the stop snitching thing is about. But they didn't let the media take control and say, "This is what it is," and everybody say, "Yeah, it is." Everybody who ever walked the street, whoever played any role in the streets, know stop snitching is, "Rob, what the hell?" We both sit in the back of the squad car because Rob said, "Man, Stone, we got hurt. Man, Self, we got caught." We didn't get caught, Rob. No ass got caught. You remove those structures, now it's, I don't know what to do, and then it presents itself.
Yeah.
It's a parallel world of mental illness, but it's really, I don't know what else to do, and nobody ever taught me anything. So it goes back to Benita and my point earlier. Hey, if people in the house and people in the community start raising these kids, it's turn off. Yeah, Rob, you're right. The information superhighway is the Autobahn. But at some point, you 12 years old. With me, I was 14 years old. I couldn't wait to get into high school so I could be up at 9 o'clock. Because when the fucking halftime highlights come on Monday Night Football, the little hop get your ass in the bed.
Right.
Kids up at 50 o'clock now. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, it's time for you to go to work and you to go to school. And I've been up all night.
But
So
Brian, look, you got.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian. Look.
Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, the reason why I never get into the streets, man, because I'm with myself at a young age. I realized I'm a snitch ass nigga. I realized I'm a snitch ass.
You know he was telling.
Hey,
I
look.
ain't lie. I realized, man, hey, I'm a good dude, man. I ain't trying to steal nobody's shit. I ain't trying to hit nobody across the head. I don't want to be living off no code or no game where I can't tell the truth. You know
Hey,
what I'm
Rob.
saying?
Hey,
I'm
Rob. Hey, listen, bro. Let me tell you something. And I'm telling you, like, so I'm gonna give y'all a whole backdrop of some stuff when we get offline, so y'all can look up some of the stuff that I've done, you know, doing this work. And I've come full circle, right? I got young people, I got young guys who I fuck with, but who love me to death. And I'm, you know what I'm talking about? Ain't many guys 51 years old on these blocks fucking with these shorties where you could give them the business and they listening to a motherfucker. Now I'm just gonna keep that 100. And motherfucker do what I do. And motherfucker, especially, and it needs to come from us.
Right.
Rob, to keep you 100. I don't want my shorties to be like I was or like Brian was in order to get to where you at, Rob. I'm trying to get them where Ernest and y'all at right now. You don't got to be Blackstone, Vice Lord, none of that shit. You don't got to have no 50 papa. You don't got to call your mama no bitch. You don't got to get them and be disrespectful to old people. You don't got to do none of that shit to be respected.
Right.
And what keep it so gangster, if you ain't doing that, you're an anomaly, boy, because ain't no air motherfucker ain't doing that.
Right.
You're finna be put on a pedestal so high, you don't even know. But so much of what it is tied into my self-worth is supremacy based on how Brian, Benita, Ernest, Torres, and Rob feel about me, G.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And if I gotta put my life on the line or take one of y'all's in order to get that recognition met, that's what the fuck gonna happen. And so those are the dynamics that we got to work with, like trying to manipulate them variables I just gave you. That shit dead, Joe. You keep on trying to think you can't get a motherfucker to stay off Facebook and Instagram and all that shit. They gonna be listening to your ass doing this. Y'all know they think
right. That's the move.
God damn it, somewhere off and goddamn it,
that's the move. Yeah, I see you. You got your finger on the pulse there, Robert. Because again, to be able to notice those things when they're not paying attention. When they looking dead in your face, but they mind is somewhere else. And you're right. The way I look at it plainly is like, say for instance, we live in a village and there are alligators around that surround the village. We can't just complain about the alligators. We have to teach our kids how to avoid, how to survive, how to handle themselves with that. And so you're right. We cannot manipulate the alligators, brother. It is what it is at this particular point. I was looking up a scripture where Jesus was talking about divorce. They had challenged him about divorce. He says, he literally tells them, I mean, not literally, but you can get it. This ain't back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't back in the day, man. People ain't on that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like you said earlier, Robert. If you trying to teach these kids, yeah, don't carry no pistols, man. You need to learn how to box. You're going to get that kid killed. You see what I'm saying?
They smart enough not to even go for that shit you talking about.
Come on, man.
That's retarded.
That's retarded. That's retarded.
Hey, I want to tell you this too. One of the things, it's like a double-edged sword, like where you know, we've been doing these forums. I remember I had Benita on the forum like about 5 years ago, and I had culminated a great deal of different areas of life from social workers. I had a judge on there, I had a police officer on there, I had a correctional officer on there. I had a sister who doing violence prevention work, who used to be one of the sisters of the struggle for the GDs. I had just an array of people, right? And what I found is that every variable got to be hit at the same time. It ain't like I could deal with the drug abuse and then wait to deal with the trauma. It ain't like I could deal with the mental illness and then wait to deal with the substance abuse. No, everything got to be hit. And cause you got to think, and it's to what you said, Brother B. Hey, Brian, if it take a village to raise the kids, It takes one. It is the village raising these little motherfuckers like this. They ain't living in silos. They ain't just getting this shit in the crib. They going out over my buddy house. His mama up with this shit. She giving motherfucking statuses and likes on my page.
Come on,
His
bro.
girlfriend is giving me status and likes on my page about how I'm smoking on a motherfucker, man.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, you feel what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah,
So we got to hit. It's like, Joe, we got to come in with the bulldozer, bro. We got to come in with the vaccine shots. We got to come in with everything, all hands on deck, all expertise in all areas of life of concernment for our people on deck, and everybody get in where they fit in.
Like, let them throw this in there, like, because everybody don't have this opportunity, right? Like, I know Brian was talking about how his upbringing was a little different, right? So I'm probably similar. I don't know how similar I am to like a Brian story, but I didn't end up in the streets. Now I was talking earlier about being a snitch, but so at least the behind the scenes reason. Well, let me share why. You just share why. Something that was out of my control, that I had no control that this happened. I used to live on 119th and coming down Watkins Block. I used to have to walk down Watkins Block. 2 houses down from me was Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Montgomery pulled me down. Old man, retired from the military, retired from the police force. Hey, Bobby, where you going? Come here, come here, sit down. Let me talk to you. Yeah, Mr. Johnson, my friend's up there. You want to get some money? Yeah, I go make some money with Mr. Johnson. Them guys down on the block, no good for you. No good for you, man. No good for you. I don't know why the fuck that happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why that was a part of my reality. You know, it made me hesitate just enough to be like, Bob, cool, man. Bob, one of the guys. Bob still client ain't like us. Where's this shit coming from? Mr. Montgomery, Mr. Johnson. You know what I'm saying? That shit was coming from somewhere. And they didn't, I didn't even get it. They didn't get it either. They like, you from us, you one of us, but you like a square, like you ain't really one of us. And it was coming from somewhere, bro. Like now I want to say that to what Benita was talking about earlier. These forums ain't gonna do us no good if we go the extreme side and listen all the way to what Rob said. But you know what Rob said about, man, look at where they from, man. This is some shit, right? You know, if we can't flip it over to like what Brian was saying or what I'm saying or what Benita's saying about the structure in the family, right? Because what Rob said is important. He said, we got to deal with this situation from what they currently sit. We could say what Benita's saying, like, yeah, we got to look at the structure in the family. You know what I'm saying? Fathers need to be there. It's clout and the benefits and the options that come from clout are intertwined with what elevates the evolution of dysfunction. It's intertwined because when you got clout and you got options, man, that means females got their legs cocked open, ready to receive everything you shoot out, right? And that those create dysfunctional houses, right? And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying it's impossible to say we to not deal with those situations for where they currently sit. It's impossible because those structures of those households, man, you talking about the projects that was down there, they broke up. All those these niggas that's out here wilding out in the streets right now, their parents is fucking best friends, man. The fuck out of here. The motherfuckers, they moved in the same area to make a clip because they like, girl, they taking Section 8 over here. Let's move over here. Them little wild ass niggas moved over there, took that whole shit over. That's why all the areas broke up like that in the city right now. You know, we can't underestimate the power of the parents being just friends, just card buddies and drinking buddies and shit like that, growing up in the projects together. That's what really creates the unconditional dysfunctional cliques. That's why we got to deal with it where it currently is.
Hey,
you
Rob,
know, go ahead.
Hey, you know what? I'm finna tell you. So the dynamics of the way this shit go now. Now I'm just finna, from the area that I work, which is one of the most violent. So we'll say out of the most 5 violent areas in the city of Chicago, I work in probably number 2 or number 3, right? The most violent gang or clique, as they are now, that's putting in the most motherfucking work. And I'm saying this literally. it's about 25 of them. They range from ages of maybe 14 and the hierarchy in at 18, G.
Damn.
Listen what I'm saying, bro. This is not,
Nah, Rob.
That shit deep, man. That
the
shit deep.
individuals who I deal with who love Rob and know Rob love them, but only gonna listen to me. Shit, boy. I got to be careful. It's a thin line between
That's
love.
right. That's right. That's right.
Pull it on me.
Yeah.
That I love them. Joe, they already murderers.
They murderers
I
already.
say this. I don't think people like really. I think they just because I'm real passionate and you know what I'm saying. I'm animating this shit, so I think motherfuckers thinking I be trying to put more credence to the message. This ain't that, G. They fucking killers, Joe. They unkilled. So that shit you talking about, man, respect my mama, nigga, fuck you, boy. I'll kill your motherfucking ass. And you looking at him like, oh, he just a kid. All right, keep playing.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Hey, look, and got it on them.
Yeah.
Ain't got it on.
Hey, this the clip, boy. It's 50 of them in here.
Right.
50 of them in here. And they ain't 22s. They ain't 32s.
Nice, bro.
50 and 40 cats in here, boy. And they got this and can't even got them a decent pair of shoes.
Come on,
They
man.
asking me for $2 so I could get some loose squares.
Come on, man.
Now listen to the mindset of what I'm saying. And you got mothers who love and care about them, but they so emotionally scarred. They so emotionally traumatized. And then on top of that, I'm scared of my motherfucking baby.
Yeah, man. Ain't that what Biggie said? He said even their mama's scared of him. Come on, man. You breaking up, Robert?
And I got him, but that shit is gonna be construed too because Miss Benita, I'm trying to work her too, because it's all a finesse and manipulation game. Sometimes, I'm trying to. And you fine too, Miss Benita. I'm just telling you, every male on here will tell you, if you was my motherfucking counselor, I'm gonna make something wrong. Shit, fuck you talking about. I'm finna go see Miss Benita. Hey, Brian, am I bullshitting, Joe? So even if it
There wasn't nothing wrong with me.
Hey, my mama.
There wasn't nothing wrong with me, and I used to go see Miss Johnson.
So hold on. You trying to say that all those ideations that I had to deal with, they was just made up because they
Not all.
That's not what.
But if you dealt with 20 of them, 4 of them was just there because you nice look, and you actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
We talking about a 4-year-old. I have 4-year-olds.
But Benita, no matter what you do, I don't give a damn how old you are. People are drawn to things that want them. That's everything that Robert is saying. Don't nobody want these people. When I got my degree, it's in criminal justice, juvenile justice. I didn't want to help the good kids. I didn't want to work with the bad kids. It's the kids that's getting C's and D's or C's and B's that are the most dangerous because nobody's paying attention to them. Because it's some help for that kid that's fighting every day. We're going to get you some count. We're going to be okay. The kid that's getting all A's, you the greatest. It was the Bryans of the world that was sitting in class. Like, why the fuck do I need to know what 3.14 means? But Miss Johnson used to stop by the class. You okay, D? Da-da-da-da-da. I might go, I'm on the football team. Bah! Just hit somebody. Go to see Miss Johnson. How you doing, Miss Johnson? Because you actually give a fuck. And you're cute. And in my retarded ass mind, I might have a shot.
Right.
Hey, I love you, bro. Thank you for telling my story, G.
I may have a shot.
And that's the thing. I played football, so I really didn't have I was smart enough to act the ass. I was smart enough and afraid of my mama enough to act enough ass that she didn't get involved and act enough ass that I got the attention.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jimmy Fields, Ray Shannon, Willie Green, Fred Thomas, they was there for me. Like he said, somebody said something about I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted people to like me. Or no, he said Rob said he knew people knew something different about him. Benita, you done been around my homies. When the homies sit around and smoke, they go boop boop boop. When the weed get right here, they go reach over me. It's to the point where now I do like this. I reach out for it. If it's a new dude, I go. And everybody in the room, he don't smoke, man.
Right.
And that's been going on since I was 16.
You
So
know what,
I understand both Rob, because I'm more like this Rob, but a lot of my homies are like this Rob.
Let me
I
throw
got
this in here.
who
You
was
ain't
a
never,
straight A
you ain't never, you ain't never,
and
you ain't
Whitney
never hit
Young
the
High
blunt?
School in the daytime making $40K a week on the street.
Rob,
So
hey, Brian, at least I'd have hit the blunt. I had hit it.
To this day, I'm 50 years old. To this day, I've never, because I was gonna do it, and then they after school, couple of new guys tried to after school special me. Oh, it'll make you cool. I'm like, chump, I'm in the paper every week. What you mean you gonna make me cool? I'm cool.
Hey,
You was holding my girlfriend last week.
Hey, Brian, and I want to say, I definitely commend all the brothers on here, brother Ernest, brother Torres, brother Santucci, and Rob and Brian. And the reason why I say I want to commend you guys, and because I understand the sacrifices and the ridicule and the uncomfortability and the trying to assert yourself around motherfuckers like me, because I look to y'all. Only reason why I became Blackstone, because I ain't had what y'all got right now then. See, I got that shit now. See, I don't need Blackstone. You know what I'm saying? I'm official without that shit. But not having me and go to Benita tell her I want to kill myself to have a motherfucker social concern and love for me. I shouldn't have had to do that. And I took away service and time for my brother who sitting right next across from me in class, because he do need it. He do feel that shit.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And so one of the things that I be trying to do is like, Miss Benita, I just wanted to say, sis, I applaud your efforts. You know, we are doing a lot of work together, so you already know what the love is. But I have to say that I think a lot of times, and I'm just gonna speak for Robert White, I had to be very mindful not to holistically attach certain things to all of these kids, because they are like fingerprints and irises in your eye. They are individuals and significant, so they need variations,
Right.
of services and interaction, and depending on what's going on with them. You know what I mean?
Let me just be rude, Rob. Let me be rude. I don't mean to be rude, but let me cut you off, because I just want to say something to what you said earlier. I am solution oriented. That's what you said. Okay. And you've been bringing out a lot of good points. And I think it's because of obviously your experience, your current experience with the kids and the caliber of kids that you're working with. But I just want us, all of these brilliant people that's on this line, I just want us to take the time right now, because we got about 20 more minutes left, unless you guys want to go longer. But what is it, especially in the context of what Robert is talking about, that we can do, other people can do right now to begin to correct, to kind of change the direction of our culture? Rob talked about serial killers. Brian talked about some really important things, you know, in terms of what our kids are getting, especially those kids in the middle. We really in the mental illness piece or whatever, and obviously the structure, the lack of structure. So what is it that we can suggest to the audience, people who are listening, people who will get their hands on this video? What is it that you would put out there that people can do? I can do. Go ahead, Brian.
First and foremost, we have to address the white supremacist aspect of this entire thing. We've been brainwashed into believing, hey man, I don't ever want to live around that Rob dude. So instead of, because remember, me and you and all of us, Rob grew up in the projects. I grew up close enough to the projects that I was part of it, far enough away that I could look. I grew up. What I tell people, I grew up on the tracks. The projects was the bad side of the tracks. Right to my left. If I look, I knew who was in a car when I looked out my window in accordance to what direction they was in. Oh, he white, he black, he white, he black. No bullshit. Division and North Avenue, I stayed in the middle. If you go to Division, you're dealing with every gang in the city. You go to North Avenue, I used to see Harry Carey, Richard Denton, all those guys, right? when Miss Adams and Mr. Tyler, all those dudes and those people, those families start moving away, that ripped away at it. Because just imagine if Rob would have saw Brian Williams pull up in that same slick car that the drug dealer is driving around in. That's another option. But we get a couple coins, and instead of saying, I need to call Ernest, I need to call Rob Orr, I need to call I don't want to even butcher your name, brother, the brother with the headphones. I want to call Sun Toucher, and we're gonna create a better community. What we do is, I ain't finna stay around that nigga.
Right.
We out of there.
Right.
We have to reestablish the community. It takes me back to an interview and I'm gonna be quiet after this, I saw with the real Rick Ross. He said he was one of the top tennis players in America between 14 and 18 until he was too old to be in high school. He was playing tennis with Jim Kelly. He was out there playing tennis with what's the sister that Pam Grier and a bunch of movie star black people. Right? I guess, and you know he grew up in Compton. We don't see anything better, so we don't know any. One of the greatest gifts my mother ever did was move off the west side. I was mad as hell, and I didn't realize what a blessing it was until I became an adult. And then I realized, oh, there's a boxing gym down the street from my house. It's a little league, all this. And my cousins on the west side, they ain't had none of that. All they had was a basketball court. I got homies on the west side that never left their zip code. If they live in the village, the farthest they went was Western, and if they live on Racine, they don't even know what California looked like. I got homies that live in K-Town. They thought I was rich because I didn't live in what they considered the hood. I lived in a rent-controlled building that looked like a nice building, but it was still a project. If you see it from outside, you go, damn, y'all rich now? Oh, man. But I live quarter mile from the beach, quarter mile from the Gold Coast. I could walk to a Ferrari dealership, but I can still go on the projects. I was still going 1160. So if we start migrating towards each other instead of getting into these better neighborhoods, then our time, because what we do is Ernest get rich, and Ernest moved to this neighborhood, and his tax dollars and his shine go on those kids. And Rob straightened up, and he moved to a good neighborhood, and that's gone. And Benita moved to a good neighborhood, and that's gone. And it just needs me and Rob Orr standing there like, what the fuck? We need help. But all the good people gone. The shine is gone.
Yeah.
We wanted to get to a good neighborhood, which means not around us.
So it sounds like what you're saying, Brian, is that one of the contributing factors to making things unravel is that we've instead of pulling towards each other, we've pulled away from each other.
Yes,
right?
That's
Okay,
exactly what I'm saying.
got you. And so you're suggesting,
like cowboy movies.
wait, say that again. Say that again, bro.
I said we need to circle the wagon like in the cowboy movie, circle the wagon and fight. Instead, we going, oh, I got to go over here because it's better. But just imagine if all the people who said it needs to be better just stay where they were and fought. I need my tax dollars to go to this after-school program, to this gym, to these counselors, because I make $100K and he make $80K, and this dude and all that tax money, and now we gonna sweat like Jesse White was my alderman. We gonna sweat Mr. White. My son gonna be a tumbler, and so forth and so on. It was $1 billion opportunities. Why? In I go back to K-Town. What you gonna do? I'm finna be a conservative vice lord. Well, I don't know what the hell you gonna do.
Right.
I'm going home. Uvale got murdered last week, and Coleman got murdered, and Scotty got murdered. B, it seems like in the next in line, I'm out.
Well, I appreciate you, Brian. One of the things I want to do is sort of my email address is robertwhite0121@gmail.com. Again, that's robertwhite0121@gmail.com. And so some of the solutions that I bring to the table because of the work that I do, because I'm well established in the work that I do. I bring violence interruption skills. I bring conflict resolution skills. I bring cultural awareness skills. I bring communication skills in regards to this culture, young people, the ages 11 to the ages of 24, for parents, service providers, guardians, your next door neighbor, if individuals, because a great deal of there's so the premise of the skills that I bring to the table as solutions, right? And I hope some people reach out to me and ask what it is that they can do, because I can give them some real pertinent, viable information, because more than anything else, people of higher levels of age always have the same premises. You can't talk to these kids.
Right.
You can talk to them. You can't talk to somebody in Chinese if you speak German. You've got to be able to have a line of communication in which there can be some understanding. And it also has to be not in an authoritative moment. Because again, with that premise is you're dealing with people who have already asserted themselves as who they are. And you already know as well as I do is that individuals who think they are being told something are going to be resistant just of the fact that they think that they are being told. So it has to be some communication skills implemented in trying to get the messaging across. I also have a great deal of resources and referral options for mental illness. I also have a great deal of relationships with individuals who are in the legislative process. I'm in tune with about 3 or 4 state representatives and a couple of judges, and I'm saying this in regards to what you said, Brother Ernest, to some of the problems that ail us. Because again, I also got a great deal of line on substance abuse issues where individuals can get some help if they want to go deal with something. And you don't even got to go to rehab and treatment and all of that. Some of this stuff just needs to be substance abuse education.
Right.
Some people need to know what they taking. You know what I mean? All of these things are what I bring to the table as a means of trying to address some of the array of variables that we talked about during this whole discussion. And in closing, because I know we short on time, I just want to say, Miss Benita, thank you so much for allowing me to be present with all of these good brothers on here, with all of the expertise, man. I love y'all, bro. If you need me for anything, Benita will tell you, like, I'm the hardest working man who don't get paid. So I really to do what I do for the betterment of my community, and not so much as that, a great deal of this shit I help create. So I'm just really help cleaning up some of my mess, man. So thank y'all, Robert White, man.
So Robert,
Man,
let me see. Your email is robert0121@gmail. Is that what you said?
Robert White 0121 @gmail.
Got you. And it sounds like you're presenting yourself as a resource.
Most assuredly.
Okay. Yep, I got you, brother.
well, let me jump in there with about a concept. Brian, please forgive me, Brian, because I'm give you a little pushback a little bit on a concept. Worldview. I believe worldview is very vital, very important. And any step we got moving forth with even dealing with anybody, younger generation, older generation, people that stay stuck and stagnant in their ways. A lot of times we're limited because we have a limited worldview. We haven't seen anything outside of our circle. We, first of all, us being from Chicago, we don't really understand the impact and the power and how influential we are in the world. We got an influence in the world. Being from Chicago alone, just being from a pace that has a dialogue to it, a relate of Quicksilvers, or game, and all the stuff that they attach to it is all kind of true as far as the impact that goes on outside of our world. So I believe a part of the solution is worldview. You feel different when you see the world, you see poverty in different ways around the world. You see poverty in Nairobi, Kenya, when you can't drink the damn water over there in the country, period. You limited on taking a shower. And I'm not even talking about just impoverished situation. I'm talking about worldview has more to do with us stepping away of the norms that we see as necessary, that we are comfortable with. the standards in which we see things. We so blessed, we really don't see it. And I don't want to say you need to lessen your standards, but I think worldview is important because I look at these rappers when they get rich, right? Vaughn and Lil Durk, and they get rich. Ruger look like he into some money now. This dude named Ruger, that's FBG Duck cousin. When they get the money, move around a little bit. And they was like, man, you know what? It's the difference when you go into a gas station when you ain't worried about getting shot for the next 20, 30 miles. You can ride with your top down. But if you limit it to the worldview you living in, you don't even know that the world feel like anything else. That's the only point I'm making, Brian, about the pushback. That's the only point. Go ahead.
No. I want you to have a limited view. I want you to see Robert Orr get his ass up and go to work every day.
Right.
I want you to see Robert White get up and go to work. I want you to see Benita get up and go to work. What I want to do is, instead of only seeing the gang bangers and the dope dealers, I want you to see good people around you as a viable option not to. Because if I've never seen a black man go to work and get a Benz, I don't know that a black man can go to work and get a Benz. But if the black man that get the Benz move to Sauk Village, instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. Like, okay, I come from a neighborhood just right outside, literally right outside of Cabrini Green. This dude, he has properties all over the city. He's a millionaire. His name William Moorhead. William Moorhead, he had every option in the world to go straight across North Avenue and live right next door to Chet Copy. He had everything to go over to the Gold Coast. He could have went anywhere, but he stayed right smack dab in the hood, and everybody knew him. The Secretary of State, Jesse White, lived in my neighborhood because he was born in that neighborhood. It was several other affluent people who were from that neighborhood that stayed there. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying if you're wrong if you do it. I'm not saying only go around, never leave Inglewood, never leave the 9, never leave the Manor, never leave Cape Town. What I'm saying is I need Robert to stay. I need Torres to stay. I need Ernest to stay. I need Benita to stay, so we can make Inglewood, Cape Town, Old Town, those areas that we live in better, so we can set the standard. Because if it's 10 Robert Orrs there, and it's 10 Bryans there, and it's 10 Robert Whites there, it's only 100 Blackstones. So it's only 25 Blackstones, and 25 Vice Lord. It's 100 good brothers. You give kids options when they see them. That's
okay, I guess, Brian, the only point I was making, it's like it wasn't stiff arm pushback. It wasn't no stiff arm pushback. I know. I got you. I got you.
Yeah, so I just think don't move. I don't want us to be so quick to move away, because it's something special in everybody in this forum. And once we move to Sauk Village and to Frankfurt and to whatever, Richmond Park, our young people who are disenfranchised, that way, when the kid with the screwed up mama and the screwed up daddy, they say, I'm going to be like Robert Orr instead of I'm going to be like Jeff Fort. Because Jeff Fort is the most successful person I ever seen.
Right.
But if I see Robert Orr and I see Ernest and I see Sun Toucher, and I don't want to ruin the brother name. I don't want to. If I see those brothers, I could say it is another way.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It ain't nothing wrong with being a garbage man or a bus driver.
That's right. That's right.
See,
the point I'm making though, when I say worldview has more to do with what you see and the self-discovery of what type of influence you have. That's what worldview does. Okay. See, worldview, you don't know how you really influence or impact other people until you step outside of your realms. And when you do that, your options get broader. That's what I'm saying. It's not
Okay.
even, that's the only point I'm making. You don't really, it's like you discover yourself with worldview. You discover yourself, you know, and that's important that people experience that in this solution, that we're talking about a solution. That's number one on top of my list. Worldview. First thing you got to do in an environment that you want to change and you don't understand what's going on in that environment, get up out that environment and go sit your ass down somewhere quietly and observe another environment.
Let me jump in real quick. We that worldview is a really good concept, and I accept everything that you all have put out there as solutions. And we have been talking a lot about what's going on in Chicago, and we got two other brothers on the call who are not from Chicago, but they can. One of these things about worldview is we see what's going on in other lands by just listening to people who reside in other lands. So like Therese is in North Carolina and Santucha, my brother Malik Santucha, he is in Canada. He lives in Toronto. And he just put in the chat some of the same things, but I'd like to, get an opportunity what either one of you want to start with, say something to us. How you feeling? What's going on in Canada? And give us some. I know you've been listening to us. What's your solution, bro?
Oh, you on mute, bro. Oh no, you're not on mute. Nope. We just can't hear you though.
Can y'all hear him?
No. Nope, not yet.
Wait. Say it again.
Testing. Can
Yeah.
you?
We got you.
All right. So like I was saying, hail up to everyone in the conference tonight.
Peace, bro.
I'm going to use what Fred Hampton said about the whole thing about observation and participation. I feel like there's a lot of things that all of us bring to the table in terms of our own experiences in whatever parts that we're in. But ultimately, I mean, when it comes to the whole issue of solutions, we all bring different things to the pot, right? We think of it like a kitchen. We're all chefing and cooking and doing different works in our communities. So we all bring different things to the table. So in terms of, there's no one solitary solution. We got to work with, there's so many different fronts that we need soldiers and we need people who have that mindset to take leadership roles, that we can't narrow it down to one. We have to just pool and see what everyone's bringing to the table. Me, I'm in education, so I feel like my front line where I can be most effective and where I try to make my difference is with the youth that I'm in closest contact with on a daily basis. So I mean, everyone, we need soldiers in every area. We need soldiers in law. We need soldiers in politics. We need soldiers, and even in the entertainment industry. Some of you were mentioning before about King Von and some of the brothers who've been making headlines over the last little while. But we have to have a paradigm shift in terms of what we're consuming in terms of the media as well. I see what's happening down there, but I can see also the influence of what's happening down there in terms of what happens up here, in terms of what the youth up here, what they tend to emulate and what they tend to gravitate towards, right? So it does start at home. It starts with every individual taking hold of the community that they have contact with. But this is not something that we're going to fix or that we're going to see a dramatic change overnight. I mean, we're talking about centuries of miseducation, and when we look at the issue of just decolonizing our mind, that's I don't know if it's going to happen within our time, but we can be part of the whole transition to get into there. We may not see it, but definitely we have we've seen what's happening now, especially with the conditions that are going on now with COVID-19 and all this, and you see how they're trying to shift another paradigm now in terms of how society is running. We're the main targets of that as well, in terms of marginalized communities like ours. So I mean, we have a tall task at hand, but it's not insurmountable. It's not something that we can't do, but we just gotta take hold of the areas that we have the most expertise in and that we have the most passion for, and take it from there. So I don't know if there's one unified solution, but we need soldiers, and we need leaders in every area of people activity, like Dr. Wilson outlined for us. We got to get back to the elders and what they've already shown us the blueprint. We just have to take hold of it and see where we fit in.
I'll say.
What
Hey.
part of Canada, man? What part of Canada you from?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto. Okay.
I'm in Toronto. So I mean, in terms of like a big city, if you're familiar with Toronto, Toronto's is not unlike a lot of major cities. It's obviously not as big as some of the major cities in the United States, but in terms of for Canada, it's one of the 3 or 4 largest major cities in Canada. So I mean, I would liken Toronto a lot to like Houston, because I've been to Houston. Very similar in terms of demographic and just the way the whole vibe is there. If I had to liken Toronto to an American city, I probably would say Houston is would be one of the ones that I would liken it to. So yeah, it's not unlike a lot of things that you're seeing down in a lot of American cities right now. Gun violence, there's been a big larger rise in what's going on with that over the last little while. So like this conversation is a conversation that many of us have been having up here in similar type of forums, and just trying to strategize and figure out different ways to like put some things into action, because it's definitely necessary.
Yeah, I think one of the most
So let me ask you.
sometimes is you talked about decolonizing the mind.
Yeah.
That is such a, it kind of goes back to what Brian talked about dealing with this concept of white supremacy. Where obviously things are set up in a caste system and we're on the bottom, quite frankly, and just getting that bottom mindset out of our heads. Because that goes back to what Rob and Brian were talking about, not wanting to be around other people that look like me, because I don't want to be around other bottom folks. Because if I get rich, why I want to be around other bottom people? But that goes to the decolonization. So I just wanted to stress that point that you're bringing that up. With that, what were you going to say, Robert? Or
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So in you said there's been an increased rise, right?
Yeah.
In Toronto, the gun violence, and y'all been having those conversations, and we have been highlighting those conversations from inherit people being born into these these blood cultures, so to speak, in our own society. But if it's from emulation, who's emulating it in Toronto to the point where it's beginning to create a buzz or a rise, or have people emulating and create murders and stuff like that in that city? Are they conditions the same as the ones we're describing, or is this just off of this influence of the American culture that's coming through the music?
I think it's a lot of it has to do with the American influence, the I don't want to say copycat, but I mean for the most part, like a lot of us here are children of immigrants. We might be coming, our parents might be coming from Africa, or they from the continent, or they might be coming from the Caribbean. And again, you have certain levels of gangster culture, or shata culture as we call it, right? But in terms of what you see, the adolescents and the teenagers and the young ones who are coming up now, it's like similar to what someone was saying before, like age 14 to 18, right? When you look at age 14 to 18, they're the ones who are running a lot of these blocks and a lot of these street organization, right? Because when you really think about it, it's not what's happening here. It has a lot more to do with the emulation of what they see in America, more than creating something of their own, right? Even if you want to look at it from that standpoint. So in terms of actually like creating an element that's distinct and is unique to itself, that's not happening here, right? That's not really happening here. You have different gangs, like over here they have groups like the Gators and Tiny Toons, and like it's not just about Bloods and Crips, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, a lot of that street level organization and affiliation, the way that it like it trickles down in terms of a hierarchy, it's not it's not unique. It's not distinct, right? A lot of it a lot of it is emulating what they're seeing or what they're hearing in the music, or and there's very little understanding of like the whole creation of Bloods and Crips from like the Black Panther Party when it ended up dissolving because of COINTELPRO and all that. Like most people, like the youth and a lot of OGs aren't even breaking that down to the ones who are still um on the street level doing their thing, right? So there's a lot of things that, in terms of just putting things into their proper perspective, even a lot of that stuff is not happening, right? So you have a lot of people who might be
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that video of? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to ask you. I'm sorry. Did y'all see the video of the guy from the it's like a rap movement from Italy, and they emulating Pop Smoke dance?
No, I didn't see that.
So when you're talking about emulation,
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
you saw it the other day, Ernest.
Yeah, like when it was Wednesday.
It was like, I think it was in Italy. I think it was in Italy. It was a video. The guy was from Italy. It was a rap, some movement, and he was literally doing the whole Pop Smoke dance. You know how little Pop Smoke do his little dance,
Yeah.
and he was doing the whole thing. So it was like, wow, this is just straight, like you was just saying. It's a Santacha.
Yeah, Sun Toucher. Yeah.
Untouched.
It was just off emulation, and here we are. We like Robert been speaking from his heart. We all speaking from our heart. Brian been speaking from his heart. Everybody speaking from their heart about this dysfunctional culture that we sit up here trying to figure out a way to shake everybody else in. And now here we are. We passing that influential stuff on to other countries, and they picking up like what they glorifying what we trying to stop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's crazy, like in a way.
Exactly. But no, it goes to show you the level of influence that we've always had as a people. Like whether it's positive or quote unquote negative. I mean, at the end of the day, that just goes to show you that our vibration rules the world in that respect, right? So whether outside groups want to give you credit, especially when it comes to the things that we need to have the acknowledgement for, in terms of the positive contributions and achievements that we've had, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that from the larger society. So obviously, the things that you are going to get in terms of what they're going to place the spotlight on is the things that even when it breeds negativity, that the focus is going to be on that. But the different things that we bring to the table already. So what? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for adding that perspective, Suntouch. And then you kind of coupling that with what's going on in Italy, Rob, because one of the things that I focus on when I work with people, adults, children, no matter who it is, babies, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like my son say, even babies can get it. You know what I'm saying? But is why are you here, man? Why are you on the earth? You see what I'm saying? Like that's one of the places that I come from. Being a pastor, and I've been in the game for a long time. My family's been doing this for a long time, which is giving me the luxury of being able to kind of take it to another level. Because for me, it's not about church and choir robes and what I'm saying, and the preacher and the Cadillac. For me, it's not about that, man. It's like, why are you here on this earth? What is your divine purpose, man? What have you come here to do? How have you come here to contribute to the earth? That's one of the solutions that I focus on. One of the comments that came from a brother that I just met in a class that we just started taking together, Curtis, he put in here focusing in on, where did it go? Give me a second, y'all. I just lost it. I just had it too. Whatever reason, I can't navigate my comments on Facebook. But anyway, he talked about focusing in on strength-based concepts. focusing in on, kids and what do they do well, focusing in our community. What do you do well? Because of course we highlight a lot, what parents are doing well, what the kids are doing well, but just being able to focus in on that. And I think that's really works in tandem with focusing in on divine purpose. Like, why are you here? What is it that you have come here to do? And then, so with that, you create culture, because we use in Sankofa, we use the Akan people tradition to be able to focus in on that. Like, you're Tuesday born, oh, you're Wednesday born. They come with gifts and skills, and then that gives them more identity, of being able to see themselves not only through a caste system eyes or a colonized eyes, but it gives them the opportunity to see themselves through African perspective. Obviously, all of our people didn't come from Africa. We got people that were already here, natives. My family, Choctaw, down in Mississippi, so I got that too, which we can focus in on that culture that gives us identity, gives us perspective, roots us into the land, and world, period. You see, so that's my approach. That's what I focus in on. Again, even with adults, because again, I know a lot of parents, a lot of people, period, they just go to work. Like Brian May, hey, get up and go to work. I don't know if we're going to really see that anymore these days with the virtual world. We're going to really see people getting up and go to work anymore. I don't know what that really looks like, but I know one of the things that I have to focus in on to stress people, because it gives them some sense of purpose. It makes them feel as if, they're valuable outside, not because of what somebody else gives them, but because of an intrinsic value that they have in and of themselves. So if the world gonna copy anything, and it's funny that you say what you say, Sun Toucher and Rob, because remember, Rob, we had that conversation, and Benita, remember we had that conversation with the brother from Ghana, and he was saying the people in Ghana don't even know what the slave castles are. Right. They buy them every day and don't even know, but we know, right? You got all of this culture there and they don't know. So if the world's gonna copy us, because again, that clearly shows you that we're powerful people and educated people. Because I met a sister I was doing some work for a couple of weeks ago from Ghana. And she was like, I said, man, you from Ghana? I said, what day of the week you born on? I said, you're Tuesday born, you're Albany. She says, man, how did you know that? Like, she was like, black folks in America are always doing too much. Y'all don't know. Black folks have nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? And it just, so again, if we can just keep trending and doing what we do and focus on our strengths, focus on what we do well. Because again, Rob and Brian may have two different perspectives, but those perspectives may be for two different groups of people. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's what we collective perspective. It's the collective, and like we kept stressing that point too, is that, man, it ain't no one size fit all for all the problems and issues that we have going on. So just being able to really work with side by side with people who think differently about what needs to be done and allowing them the space and even supporting them in doing what they're doing, even though I feel differently about it because I'm working with a different group of people and because they need something different. It's cool. I think for me, that's one of the challenges that we want to overcome in 2021 and to work strategically about making a difference and circumventing the issues that we're having, especially violence, because our culture glorifies that. You know what I'm saying? So I know I don't control no media. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like Tyler Perry. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no studio, so I can't put out, stuff like that. But I to Sun Toucher's point, I definitely think that is a key point about the media that we are consuming. But like Robert said, man, we can't stop these kids from watching the silly stuff on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. They're going to do it. They're just going to do it. You see, so that's my point. That's where I come from. Just to add that, guys, if you can find any kind of use of that, or those of you that are listening, if you can find that any kind of use of people's intrinsic purpose and value, I think that could help, add some different.
Stop, Ernest. Teray, where you at, man? What's the name? Therese?
Therese.
Hear from you, man. Where you at?
Hey, man, I was just talking to my son, man, because one thing I'm trying to do is change his vocabulary and change his perspective of life. When I say that, change his vocabulary, because, in a sense, I grew up without a father. I was raised by my grandmother, and I missed out on a lot of things when I see what I want to give to my son. When I say change his vocabulary, I'm teaching my son about the stock market.
Okay.
Just doing simple things like that. Changing about finances, about how to take care of yourself. Hey, how do you set your appointments up for going to the doctor? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm showing him how to take care of himself also at an early stage. And that's sometimes we got to give back to community too, because I do it with my family too. Hey, how can I help you? Help yourself. I don't want to give it to you, but how can I help you?
That's good, brother.
That makes sense.
And it's so practical, because how do you set up your doctor's appointments? That's key, bro. That's key, because I work with a lot of adults. I've worked with a lot of adults who are so traumatized that they can't even do that basic or intermediate skill. Being able to make a doctor's appointment and follow up with the doctor's appointment, be able to get the information that they need. So teaching that kind of stuff in your home is definitely key. So I appreciate you for that, Terex.
Yes, because I teach my son, okay, every month, what you need to do, change the filters out of the house. Consistency.
Yeah.
Every month, he got a responsibility to take care of the house.
Now, what type of filters are you talking about? The heating?
Yes, the air filters, yes.
Okay. All right, that's good stuff.
The whole house. And every Thursday.
That's how you teaching them, brother?
Responsibilities.
Like what?
Washing his own clothes. We've been washing dishes since he was 3.
Okay.
Sweeping, mopping, bathrooms, washing his own clothes.
Now, does he feel picked on when you do this work with him?
No, because he's been doing it forever.
Okay.
I started at an early age.
Got you.
Consistency.
That's good. That's good.
He looked like he a little taller than you too. It looked like he won the height battle. I think.
Man, they kept 14, man. 14.
Yeah. How tall is he?
6'3".
Oh, wow. Yeah, you better have started with him early. Hey, Brian, you on mute. You still on mute, bro. There you go.
It's funny that he said vocabulary. I was just reading the other day that our children are 1.5 million words behind the rest of the country.
Ooh, 1.5
million words behind the rest of the country.
Wow.
And it's funny that this is the third, because I do a show like this. This is the third show I've done that the word vocabulary came up.
That's key though, because see, again, if I can control your words, I can control your mind. You know what I mean? Like if I can control the meanings of words, I can control how you see things. It's funny because I was working with my 4-year-old with flashcards, and we saw the word beverage. And so she was like, beverage. I was like, yeah, you can refer to a drink in different ways, and this is just another way to refer to the same thing, a beverage, right? It's more of a generic term. And she's like, it's just amazing to see her mind connect those dots, with just looking at the word beverage. And so thank you for bringing that up, man. It just makes me a little bit more motivated just to stay on top of the word, because that's my field, man, is words. I've been studying words for quite some time and learning new words. And people tease me about the words that I know, but I've learned, certain contexts where it's necessary and some words sometimes it's not. However, when we know words, it speeds up your comprehension. You see, your comprehension is key, because when you're taking tests, you don't even have to know all of the concepts, but if you know the words,
right,
you're good. You see, so comprehension is so key to even understand what's going on around you, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what's going on around them.
Like the SAT, all that's about vocabulary.
It is, indeed. It is.
Hey, also, this is a couple of books I got my son reading right now.
Okay,
this
Dave
one.
Ramsey. Now he comes
Dave Ramsey,
right? Is he pretty practical though?
Yes, he is. He's simple to the point.
Okay.
Because I follow him too.
You just mentioned. Wait, show me that one again.
Debt Free. This is Anthony O'Neill.
Okay, let me put that in I'm gonna put that in our West name. Debt Free Anthony O'Neill.
Yes, Debt Free degree, and also Smart Money, Smart Kids.
You said debt free.
Debt free degree.
Oh, degree. Okay.
Debt free degree.
That's Anthony O'Neill.
Yeah, Anthony O'Neill.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks for sharing those. Yeah, now I've heard Ramsey on the radio for a number of years. I never really zoomed in on him though.
Oh, it's an easy concept. I mean, like first thing you want to do, because the most important thing is being debt free. When you're debt free, you're not tied to no lender.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, the first thing you do, who can save $1,000? By a show of hands, everybody saying, who can save $1,000?
Who can do what?
Save $1,000. That's your first baby steps. Who can save $1,000?
Yeah,
Who can save $1,000? Okay.
All right, your next step is pay off all your bills from the smallest to the largest.
Okay.
That's a debt snowball. Now that's what I'm teaching my kid too, is at an early stage, being financially responsible also.
Yeah, that's very key. Very key. Especially in this type of coaching.
Yep. Because when you debt free, guess what? The world is yours then.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, it depends on the color of your skin. But you know, but
Well,
I
I can
feel
say,
I feel where you're coming from. Yes, indeed. Because you know, somebody brought up in
That's a
ANA.
Garveyite principle too.
Say
Garveyite.
again?
That's a Garveyite principle, is to be debt free. And I
Really?
was just today Malcolm X. My son and I, we was on the road trip, and I was playing the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he says that in the very beginning of it, his father was like, "No, no debt, no debt, no debt." Then of course they killed him, but prior to killing him, their family was very strict on not having any debt.
They killed who?
Malcolm X's father, when he was, Malcolm X was only 6 years old at the time, and they ran him over with the train, like they bit it, bashed his head in and then ran him over with the train. But prior to, because he was a Garveyite and he was a pastor and he was working really hard to, help bring other people into it. But one of his main tenets was to save money and to not be in debt, not owe to anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a very powerful principle to not be in debt.
It just re-enslaves you.
Yeah, indeed.
And when in Booker T. Washington, Up From Slavery, that's at the very beginning when we first were emancipated. Too many of us started being in debt, like we with simple, stupid stuff, like materialistic stuff. Like we wanted to look like them, so we had to have a hat. And in order to get the hat, you put the hat on layaway, you put the hat on credit.
Yeah. Well,
So
somebody
those of
shared
us
in
who
a group,
didn't do that, go ahead, bro.
somebody shared in a group that I was in, that I'm in with Journey, about the power of marketing to Negroes at the time. This was in the 50s, 40s. And they talked about why it was such a bad idea for white businesses not to do business with black people, because they were like, black people like nice stuff. Like, you can sell a crappy hat to a white man, but a black man will pay more for a better hat. You know what I'm saying? And you stupid if you're a white business and you're not doing this. And so it just goes back to also a book that I read, the Little Professor of Piney Woods, the brother who started the boarding school down there in Mississippi back in the early 1900s. How he talked about how he had spent months trying to raise money to actually start a school. And he had only raised like a nickel. Okay. And he had this idea, well, whatever, I'm just going to start teaching these kids. So he started teaching these kids just how to read, 2 kids on a log. And there was one rich black guy. He didn't celebrate Christmas. He didn't celebrate all that other stuff that, black folks normally would celebrate. And he gave him a mule, he gave him land, and he gave him a shed. And he gave him $500. Okay. This was like in 1906. Okay. And from there, he was able to establish a world-class school. And he didn't get the support that he thought he was going to get from the black community. It was only one black man. It was only one black man that helped him actually financially and physically start that school. And then the rest of that support came from so-called white people and other black people from other communities that helped him sustain that school, which is a school that's still in existence to this day. So that's what that reminds me of, is that you're right. If we choose to spend our money in ways that are not helping us to build our communities, kind of like I believe it was Brian who talked about that, circling the wagons. If we're not spending our money in ways where we are bringing the community together, I mean, that's just one other way. That's just one other area where we're losing ground in terms of being able to make the community that we need and to turn things around the way we need them to be.
Yeah,
Funny you say that. I'm sorry.
That's what go. Who is that? Go ahead, bro.
Taraz. Funny you say that, because I'm reading Dick Gregory right now. His new book is defining on a moment in history, reading between the lines. That's what he says. He said, imagine the black people didn't celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yep.
We didn't buy anything during that time right there.
Yep.
We will affect the world right there.
Come on, man.
That's a good book. A book y'all should pick up is Defining the Moment in History by Dick Gregory, reading between the lies. That's what I'm reading right now.
He said reading in between the lies. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Dick Gregory.
so yeah. So a great deal of the stuff that we talking about, it kind of goes. That's why I be so. My spirituality basis has been heightened, and I know that me finding a God of my understanding has allotted me a great deal of other characteristics that play in a part of me being an overall striving to be better human being.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about the marketing and you talk about financial literacy and financial responsibility, as Brother Rob talked about, him and Rob talked about, seeing a broader view, more so than 63rd up north, out west or up north. Brian talked about, having those of us who have some success or what is considered success, that we don't escape, you know what I mean, to higher grounds and leave, you know what I mean, the residuals to their own devices. You know what I mean? Leaving the brothers and sisters behind and taking our resources to where we further encourage and finance through our tax dollars the betterment of other communities and other individuals of those communities. It's all a thing, it's all a similar premise and thread though. All of this shit is a derivative of the enslavement. Yeah, black people want to have nice things. Shit, they walked around with sacks on. Fuck you mean? Yeah, motherfucker want to have a decent pair of shoes. Yeah, it sounds frivolous in our eyesight now, but hindsight always 2020. You can see a lot of shit, goddamn it, clearly when you see the residuals of the mistakes behind the decision making. You know what I mean? A great deal of them people who ended up going in debt, coming right out of slavery, because I mean, you get what I'm saying? The trauma that come behind feeling like nothing and having the opportunity to get something in their mindset is the greatest thing because they've been deprived of it so long. And it just so happened the individuals who put the system together saw another weakness in the game that sold it to be able to profit off that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and I bring that all the way up into now because kids see more value in a motherfucking pair of Yeezys that cost $300-400 than they do, goddamn it, getting all A's in school. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? Because society, for the most part, from a black perspective, doesn't promote education as being a viable means of being successful and respected. I'm gonna shoot the shit out you, or I'm gonna have some cold bars on the rap side, or I can do some other stuff, play basketball. I mean, I don't really want to give the sports a bad name or anything like that, though. But again, this has been going on for a great deal of time where only those certain talents are respected or acknowledged as other individuals having a means of being successful. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could be a successful social worker. You could be a successful teacher or educator. You could be a successful law enforcement officer. Actually, I'm talking about from an ex-gang member. I try to encourage young black brothers who I fuck with, who ain't never been locked up, who probably ain't really had no real criminal backgrounds that will ostracize them for being in law enforcement, to get in law enforcement. Because you think about it, how we gonna have a better communication and better law enforcement if we ain't in there? How we gonna expect other people to police us better than we can police ourselves? Like, so it's like I say, bro, it ain't no one element for me. It's a holistic approach from every aspect and every variable of life. It needs to be addressed head on, and all of us have a talent. You talked about talents. What are these kids' talents? I think we can better encourage and cultivate our kids' talents if us as adults use our talents to service them.
Yeah, true. And yeah, Therese talked about that too, because he was like, man, how can I help you? But Dr. Naeem Akbar talks about, he says a real man looks for people to help. That's what a real man does, right? So those two concepts work together. Well, two people bringing the same concept up is obviously something that we starting to see consistency and truth in. Is looking for opportunities to serve each other, which I have to give some credence to the positivity of our Black Greek organizations, because Alpha Phi Alpha, First of all, servants of all. First of all, servants of all. We shall transcend all. Right, and so it's about the idea of serving each other. And again, I think just like you talked about, Robert, that education is not, prized in our community. Serving one another is not prized in our community either. I don't really see that anymore. You're helping an old lady across the street, carrying groceries, et cetera, those kinds of things. But those are the opportunities that we can get to not just service one another, but to build rapport, to understand people's stories, and to connect deeply or deeper in our own communities. I think it's a good opportunity for us to do that as well.
Hey, bro. And one thing I want. So you talked about that you are part of the clergy, if I'm not mistaken. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, sir.
So one of the things but I'm definitely a Christian. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, but I do not ostracize, look down upon, or turn my nose up at any other spiritually based religion, thought process, and program, because I understand the universal thread of a creator that. So and this is just me. This is just my personal mantra, my personal belief system. Human beings were created for one reason and one reason only, and that's for us to help each other. That's the only thing I think human beings were created for. And so in helping each other, that is incurred and accomplished by everybody being present with their personal gifts from their creator. Because there's some I can orate pretty well, but there are some other things, like I can't draw worth shit. You know what I mean? I can't really design. We are, and I'm just saying, like, we all have our talents, and our talents were given to us and endowed by a creator for us to be of service and help to each other. I'm not supposed to use my talent just as a means for lucrative means, or for a means for me to be able to not help my God's creation. And that in itself encompasses a lot. Like, so, me having a God of my understanding, I'm not finna steal from you. I'm not finna really try to hurt you. I'm not finna try to really get down on you, be disrespectful to you, your children, or your wife, and family members. I'm more so than anything, I'm going to try to help cultivate your children, because I don't want to be or have somebody that I love be a victim to one of your children's crimes because they didn't have somebody to step in and help and assist them in being better human beings. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense, bro?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So and again, I incorporate this from an ex-gang member, who was thoroughly entrenched in a great deal of what is one of the premises of this conversation. And so I bring to the table a sense of saying thank you, Brother Ernest, and everybody else on this call, because I owe you guys an apology for my behavior, because I made those efforts of you guys being able to try to bring betterness to the world a little bit more difficult, right?
Well, you're not the only one, brother. You're the only one.
Yeah, no question, right? But I can only take responsibility for my behavior, and also the humbleness. Like, my God has given me a sense of humility that I really try to encompass and embellish on. I try to get bigger with this, because I understand a lack of humility is the reason why it's so easy for a motherfucker to go shoot somebody. A lack of humility is the reason why I look at you with a mug and I don't even fucking know you. Fuck you looking at.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got all of these ills in me because there's no humility and empathy or sympathy or empathize for me to empathize with you. Like, but damn, I'm looking at him with a mug, but he in the same gas station I'm in. He can't be no worse than me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, that spirituality piece, it has been big for me, man. Me having a God of my understanding, man, and I'm not him. And I also understand that I really don't have no power. Like, the lack of power is my dilemma. See, I think I can make Ernest do what I want him to do.
Right.
And when he don't do what I want him to do, then I'm finna goddamn it call him all type out his name. And if it get bad enough, I'll pull a gun on him. and do something to them. And it's all because of I don't have control to make other people do what I want them to do. And then the control that I do have, which is over me,
Right.
I don't want to do shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? But you know what, Robert? That brings me to that point about being solution oriented. And what we focus in on Sankofa is that we all have levels of healing that we need to address. You mentioned it earlier, you know, trauma that we've experienced. Sankofa is about going back. I go back and I visit the younger versions of myself. I give that younger version what I need, and I come back with more power, right? Which makes me more influenced, more powerful, more whatever I need to be in the present moment. And for me, that is a call that I'm making, man, is that let this be a year of healing. Let us continue to keep healing as a people, because that's one of the reasons why we keep showing up the way we showing up. It's because we keep harming one another. And then we do it in a way that's like it's righteous. Like I'm supposed to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm stupid if I don't hurt you.
Ernest, therein lies the disillusionment, bro. I'm so delusional about the source of reality, bro, that I'm so demented in my thinking and my spirit. Because you gotta have a spirit in you. I gotta have a spirit in me not to like you because of that. And
Right.
not like you so much to the point that I want to destroy you and I don't even know you.
Even know you. And I felt that way towards Black people, man, towards people in general. I felt that way. I'm sure. And I don't know, but I know, man, I was in the car. This was many years ago. This is my first wife. Guys was looking in the car, man. They ain't even say nothing, man. But I'm like, I made the assumption, Rob, that they were looking at my wife. And I wanted to harm them. You see what I'm saying? Like I wanted to show them you can't look this way.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Like you saying, wanting to feel safe, and because that made me feel so. Well, let me show you. You see what I'm saying? Let me be on the offensive, man. I mean, I got plenty of other experiences similar to that. So, and I'm not no murderer. Let that be clear. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine if I did have that mindset to go to that next level.
But then, like you think about it, Ernest, though, with that spirituality piece, it has saved me, man. That humility piece has saved me to understand what my positioning is on this earth. The self-esteem built-ment has been, even though you looking at my wife, you must be looking at her for the same reasons I married her, G. Because she a gem, she a diamond, and I can't help, in a weird sort of way, I appreciate the indirect compliment. If I could get, you get what I'm saying? But because I suffer from low self-esteem, nigga, you trying to take what's mine. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So without that spirituality piece and that self-esteem piece and that humility piece, bro, like, you know, again, like I can't say it enough, man. Like all these areas got to be hit simultaneously, bro. And I think if we could do that, man, we could see some headway on having a more healthier community, bro.
Well, key story. True story.
Y'all, I really enjoyed y'all. Y'all stay blessed. You know, I got to get out of here. I got to sign off, man. I really enjoyed meeting y'all perspectives.
Yeah, this has been
Thank
great.
you, Brother Rob. It was a pleasure meeting you too, bro.
Pleasure meeting you too, brother.
Yeah. Hey, Benita, thanks for the invite, darling.
Pleasure all mine.
Y'all deuces.
Thanks for the book. I just ordered it.
Which one?
The Gregory book.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. Hey, trust me, it's a good one. You will not be disappointed.
Cool.
Yeah, I just purchased the latest book on Malcolm X. 1 second, let me get it.
That rising, the dead are rising.
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
It's
Oh man, that's thick, bro. That's
Les Payne.
who?
Les Payne and his daughter Tamara Payne. You know, Les passed away. He was a reporter, a prominent reporter in the New York tri-state area.
Okay.
And then he basically, it's the same book we've been reading from Alex Haley, but from the perspective of his entire family and his friends.
Okay.
Here's the book.
Hey, Brian, who put you on that book, Miss Benita?
This is brother Dr. Greg Carr. He's the head of African Studies at Howard University.
Yeah,
that's what's up. Hey, I said that right because you know Benita put the revolution back down, boy. Hey, don't play around, Joe. She ain't no joke. You know, she'll be
Not
like,
at
take
all.
up arms. Let's get down. You know what I'm saying? Miss Benita put me back in 60 mode.
So how are you finding that book to come along, Brian? I mean, is it pretty easy read or what?
I'm loving it. It's a real easy read. I'm loving it.
Okay. All right, cool. Book I'm reading right now, man, which is Cast by Isabella Wilkerson, man. And girl's bad, man. She's a great writer, period. She wrote The Warmth of Other Suns about the Great Migration of Black folks to the North, which through her book and her work, I found out that was actually the largest migration of any human population in world history, right?
Yeah, the migration from the south to the north.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
The Warmth of Other Suns.
The Warmth of the Suns.
Warmth of
Warmth of
Other
Other
Suns. Yeah. So she's a great writer, man. She reminds me of Sister Soldier in a different way.
Oh.
You know, because I can read Sister Soldier like nothing, man. Her stuff I pour over her pages, man.
Yeah, I love sis too. Yeah.
She just
I got up on it in the system though, but I've read a couple of her books as well. But I know coming up as like I said, my grandmother taught Afro history. She had a couple of master's degrees in Afro education and Black history, right? And I know I knew as a shorty, like, you know, the leavening of the South to the North was how all of we talked about it, like the Robert Taylors and the Cabrini Greens and the Stateways and the Ida B. Wells and, you know, all of these, the Abla Homes and all of these other what we knew them as to be projects were end up being residual housing projects that were put together because of residuals of the Great Migration. You know what I mean? A great deal of people came up here, and you know, bro, I don't know about that was through Miss Benita or somebody, but I was watching a documentary on Netflix, and I think it was about Dr. King and Malcolm, right?
And not a Negro.
Yeah, and bro, when Dr. King stayed out west, and they showed some of the living conditions that them brothers and sisters that was living under, man, it broke my heart, bro.
Huh.
It broke my heart. And I mean, and I think like that's a piece that's lost. Like our young people, although they going through a great deal of atrocities, right? I don't think they understand like conditions like that existed for our people. Like they, you know, like we talk about roots and Jim Crow and all that. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep on. They know racism exists. That's just, it seems like that's just born in our DNA. Like eventually you get to understand that there's a difference between us and other cultures, right? And the way we are being treated. But I mean, from an intricate standpoint of understanding how Jim Crow actually played a part in where we at right now, how the civil rights movement, individuals getting sick, having dogs sick on them, and all of these, like, I don't really think that they have a real firm understanding that these things actually existed to where they don't feel no connection to it. Like when we came up, even though we knew that was not in our time frame, we had a connection to the civil rights movement. You feel what I'm saying? We had a connection to lynching and all of that stuff. And the only connection that they got is really through police brutality that they can overtly put their hand on. Like they don't really get it from the economic standpoint and the clothing line. Like they putting all this money into, you know, all this, you know, insignificant stuff. And we in doing so, we help fund the systems that got us in this place in the first place. You know what I mean? But like if we could start tying into like when they did that move on the Capitol, right? I knew that young people will be disinterested in it. That wasn't my piece though. The underlying thing that hurt me so bad was the overwhelming disregard of how we've been treated all of these centuries and the overwhelming presence of white privilege. Like Joe, they showing that type of, and they only shot one motherfucker, man. When you get what I'm saying, bro? Could you imagine if we did that? We wouldn't even got that close. We wouldn't even got that close. And I'm saying all this is to say that our young people, I would like to have a platform as well where I can tie into. I really want to put my own curriculum together where I can tie into the systemic racism and how it evolved into individual groups like the Crips and the Bloods and the Blackstones and the Bright Lords came into being as a residual of these systems, right? And then come to full circle to where now they have just eroded to the point to where to the way we see things today and the way it affects our community and the households that exist today for our people. And as you said, it's always about the young people, man. And I just want to be able to do whatever I can to address the social ills that they experience and tie it into some solution-driven things that are already in existence. Because it's some people doing some great things today.
Indeed.
You know?
And that's the beautiful thing about Black folks, and that I've come to understand, man, we've been doing everything we could throughout our tenure here in this country, man, in this place, man. I mean, early 1900s, late 1800s, 1700s. I mean, man, Black folks have been doing everything that we can think of. We haven't just been talking. We've been doing it, man.
No question, bro.
A lot of people out here, man, especially people like yourself, people like Brian, Sun Toucher, man, Benita. I mean, all shades, of people, man, fighting for us, doing whatever they can. People like Therese who've been raising their kids in the best way that they know how. We've been doing it, man, but it goes back to this whole decolonization. It goes back to what Naeem Akbar talks about, the chains of mental slavery, you see. And because our minds are just, God, man, it's just, and again, like this group of this class that I just started, basic facilitators work with, shadow work with, kind of falling under Carl Jungian psychology, is that, for whatever reason, we began to tuck away parts of ourselves. We began to, teachers, you're like, oh man, you talking too much, Brian, and because you wanted that person to like you, you put that in the bag. You know what I mean? It's like what Rob talked about. You got these young boys with low self-esteem, and they really A students, but because they want to be accepted by their group, they took that intelligence away. You see what I'm saying? And you don't just go pull it out when you want to. That's not the way the brain works. And so many of us are walking around here in this world, not being who we really are. We're not being full-fledged 100% Brian. I'm not being full-fledged 100% Ernest. And most of who I am is broken, you know what I'm saying? Because the parts that I am allowing to shine is just what I think is accepted, or acceptable. And so, and therefore I'm not really bringing my full self to the table. And I think, man, a lot of, not just Black folks, but a lot of people in America suffer from that. And unfortunately, we're passing that legacy on to other countries. Black Sun Toucher brought out, and Rob brought out as well. And that's, for me, is one of the epidemics that I think we really want to get in front of, is being able to re-identify ourselves with our real selves and our authentic selves, bringing ourselves back to the table. And that's one of the reasons why I'm grateful for these kind of conversations, because we don't all agree on everything, but we ain't jumping off the line and trying, well, where Robert stay at so I can find out where this man live, you know what I'm saying? So we not on that, you know what I'm saying? We can accept the fact that other people think differently than us, and like Rob said, there is no one size fit all for all of the issues that we're dealing with. And that's something that he stresses. So for me, that's one of the particular pieces that I want to contribute to this conversation, is that, we got to find a way to be vigilant about getting back to our real true selves, because see, the role we play in this caste system is not who we really are. It's just a role we play. It's just like an actor, you get a role. Remember Tupac when he did Juice? That was when he turned into that dude. You see what I'm saying? Like, they was like, man, Tupac changed after that role. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, but again, you got people like Denzel, other people who play a role, and then they back to their normal selves. You see, and that's what I want for myself and for my community, for all of us here, is to get to our real authentic selves. And I know that's a tough process, but it's definitely, I want to believe that it's possible.
That's
But
actually, that's
Hey, bro,
scripture.
so I want to sign off. I got a little homework and stuff that I need to do for work, but I really want to say thank you. Love, Brian, man. So I would like to be able to get with Benita if possible, so I could get some contact information on the brothers that's on point. especially those who are close in proximity, Brother Brian and Brother Ernest, you know what I'm saying, that y'all close around, man. I definitely would like to be able to see if we can collaborate on some things, because I'm always on somebody camera or microphone or somebody front porch shit. You know, I do a lot of direct services too. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely feels it would definitely be a great help, man, to have some other strong black, spiritually blessed black men to be involved in this, man. So they can see everybody didn't have to come my route in order to be successful, or at least to be able to change. They need to see various arrays of black men to be able to understand where they fit in there, because everybody ain't Robert White. You know what I mean? Everybody don't do the gang bang thing. And even if they do, that don't mean they in my lane.
Right.
You know what I mean? That don't mean they in my lane. And some of us thirst for God, but so afraid, because that's one of their favorite terms, on God, on Jesus Christ. And although their behavior makes it seem like they should be saying on the devil, on Satan, because that's how they get down. You know what I'm saying? But I think everybody has an inner sense of God in it.
Yeah, brother.
Everybody has an inner sense of a creator. And again, as you just talked about, Ernest, if it's just not cultivated, then that ain't something you could just go pick up and put down when you get ready if it ain't there. You know what I mean? So I just want to say it's been a pleasure, man. I'm greatly humble and deeply appreciative of my brothers. Thank you, Benita, as well. I love you guys. And I definitely will try to get some contact information on you guys through Benita. And y'all can do the same for me, man. Get my information. Yeah, it's definitely open, bro. And I'll definitely be in touch, man. Man, it was a pleasure meeting you guys. Thank you.
All right, brother. Peace, man.
Peace.
Have a good night. Thank you so much.
It's funny, Ernest. One of the last things you said was, "Don't dim your own light." That's actually scripture. Don't dim your light to let somebody else shine.
True story, brother. And it's quite unfortunate that's what we've made a practice of that type of behavior. I know I've done it a lot, man. Chance the Rapper even said it, and one of his CDs albums he had put out. He says, I was dug down in the hood or something, trying to hide from God or something to that effect. But I found that to be very profound because I could relate. That resonated with me. Trying to hide. Because for whatever reason, I had designated that the world don't want this.
When it comes to from birth, people are suppressed. Like you may, depending on what kind of parents you have, your parents may let you be free and open. Kind of the word that Rob uses a lot around me is liberated. Like Robert or he'll say, "Oh, you got them liberated children over there," right? But then we have but immediately the suppression is coming constantly.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest places where our people are suppressed is the school system. So like as soon as a child starts school, then they'll say, you talking too loud, or sit still, you moving too much. It's like the public school system is conditioned to try and put children in these perfect little boxes so that they can be these perfect little, I don't want to call them soldiers, but
little citizens, little robots.
Yeah, on the way to being perfect little inmates.
Yeah.
And so if you like, I remember at work this one day, the boy, he comes up to me and I swear I felt like he was yelling. He was just talking so loud. And I was like, "Oh, you yelling? Could you stop yelling?" He's like, "I'm not yelling," and he's doing like this and he's like, doing that thing. And then I leaned back, something in me just really leaned back right away. And I was like, I just suppressed him.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're right. You're not yelling." And what I realized is that when a male child is, going through puberty, their voice is like a roar, and they're just practicing it. They're just doing their thing, and we're asking them. And one of the things I learned again from Robert Orr when he came to speak to one of my classes is that the male voice is the way it is because it can turn around and protect. Like you all can protect simply with your voice.
True story.
But the public school system is asking you to be more like a feminine, more like a female, and they're taking that power away from you. And the reason why you have it is because we need you on earth to have it, because I need you to be able to say to somebody, "Rawr," you know,
Right.
in a
So,
moment's notice to protect me or whoever, you know,
yeah.
that you need to.
Yeah, because that voice, it creates a sense of authority. I have authority over this situation. When I speak in a tone with the right kind of body language, I mean, a person can have a gun and it still will disable them.
And
It has that
it's
authority.
something that women do not possess. This is
Hmm.
something that men have. And you'll notice it a lot, like whenever schools do allow an adult male to be in that environment, the children respond to that adult male figure in ways that they never respond to males. And it's the voice. I think the voice is part of it. There could be some other things, Suntoucher, maybe you can like, speak to that, but I know like a female saying, my interconnect is unstable to say, but I know like the female teachers, they might say, sit down, and it's never the same way a man can come in and say, sit down.
Right. Right. True
That's
story.
what that's why I'm in my third career. I'm be a school teacher.
You going back to work? You gonna work some more?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm about to retire again. If I retire from the Navy, then I'm about to retire from the federal government. Then I'm gonna retire. Then I'm gonna go to the school system.
Look at this guy talking about hard working.
Hey, that's what I want to do. You got to do it, man. I got to give back somehow.
Indeed. Indeed.
And my goal is to do like kindergarten through the fourth grade. That's just where I want to touch them at.
Okay. Okay. Well, people, I don't know. We still gonna continue to talk, or we gonna maybe reconvene.
I've
Let's.
I've finished saying most of what I want to say. I'm comfortable letting it go. But
Okay.
I want to. I gotta go, but I was gonna touch on that suppression thing. Remember last night I kind of touched on it then. The suppression thing. The reason we suppress so much is because when we were in bondage, a robust child will be sold. He's energetic. He could be put to work.
Yeah.
And if he's too robust, he's a threat.
Right.
So women's innate ability to protect that young boy.
Yeah.
So that's and I forgot who I was reading about. I was reading this in an article recently, and she was saying that women used to like, okay, hey, he's a good little boy. They see him, he's kind of muscular, he's a young man, and they looking at him as a young buck that could be sold for more. And then they never, he don't listen, he don't do this, and it's transferred up into this point where you're in a white setting, and the teacher and other white people and other teachers come to tell your boy, oh, he's so smart. Oh, he did great at the science thing. And the mom innately go, oh, no, he cool. No. That is epigenetically transferred to us.
Yeah, that's Dr. DeGroot. That's Dr. DeGroot, PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good example.
We got so many issues. We just got so many issues. Oh Lord, we got so many.
Hey, funny y'all say that, because right now my daughter, she's in the third grade, and I hate to say she's in private school, but the white kids cannot take her because she's smart and she speaks her mind, and the teachers can't deal with it. You know what I tell my daughter? They will not break your spirit, baby. Be yourself.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, and just obviously continue to offer the support that she needs, and finding her tribe, because she needs that. People who so that's key, man. That's very key. But like what you were bringing out, Brian, that piece is ingrained in us. Another book I'm reading through right now, I'm kind of thumbing through this one. This was My Grandmother's Hands, and it's talking about the vagus nerve, which is where it connects the brain with the body in a way where it stores the trauma, where the trauma is. So like when we're in certain situations and we're reminded of things, it surpasses or circumvents the thinking brain, the frontal cortex, and it just goes to the body. Like, what do you want to do? Right. And so it's like, when a parent is sensing that fear or threat, and having to tune into the protective factor, they're not thinking, man. They just go straight into reaction mode.
Right.
And this is stuff that has been passed down for generations, and it's
Mhm.
hardwired in us. We don't even think about it. We just do it. So, and that's definitely one of the things that we have to think about. One of my mentors, Dr. Phoenix, who talks about how when she was raised, she said to herself, like, this ain't right. Like, this is, and we need our kids to realize, no, this ain't right. I'm not gonna raise my kids like this. This is
Mhm.
gonna have to be turned around. You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's an important piece because it couples with suppression and how we suppress our kids, and which is something that I'm mindful of because even my youngest daughter, man, she is so loud. Man, she loud. Not to really back sometimes because I'll be like, man, if please stop yelling, but then I don't want her because that might be something. That's the reason why she came here. That's part of the reason, this might be tied to her purpose. You see what I'm saying? And I'm constantly, beating down on her like, man, lower your voice, lower your voice, lower your voice, lower your voice. So, it's something that I'm mindful of to think like, let me be more patient. Let me be more tolerant of this kid in the way that they are.
Or start saying inside, outside voice.
True story. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And that too,
Yeah,
because I think Chicagoans talk a lot louder than most naturally because it's like we can't. I don't know. There's just so many people talking. Like I remember when I would drop my daughter off at school when she was in high school, she would talk at a certain volume, and as soon as I would pick her up, like as soon as she left the school building, it's just super loud. She just had this real loud way of talking. I was like, "Do you realize that I'm 6 inches away from you?" But I think it was because the high school, like the acoustics in the building and all those kids and having thousands of people in one building and then all the noise, it was like, she was adjusting. And to adjust, you have to talk louder.
yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience because I've always been the guy that they told pipe down, and I'm suffering from the trauma of my freshman year of high school in 1984. Remember the homeroom teacher? He said I was the loudest kid in the room. I was the loudest kid at Westinghouse. But this one day, I wasn't even talking because me and him would always go at it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to avoid this dude at all costs. And he called me out. And he literally told me, will you shut the hell up? Just yelled out my name and told me, shut the hell up.
Wow.
And the whole class stopped. I was like, he's not even talking. So I can relate to that suppressive, like no matter what goes on, just be loud, So, and it was, you feel like you're going to be ignored because people keep cutting you off. And then it's like, I'm not getting cut off anymore. I'm going to say this so loud that you're going to be scared to talk.
Yeah.
That might be the deal with your daughter. It was just, she got tired. She in school, they probably cutting off. And you just keep elevating. You get cut off once, and you elevate, and you elevate, and you elevate. And now I'm louder than everybody, and everybody paying attention, and I'm cool now. Now I spoke my piece.
And I'm like that in arguments. Like when
Yeah.
I'm in an argument with my guy, I can't. He's like, you yelling, stop yelling. And I'm like, the only reason why I'm getting louder is because you're not, the only reason why I'm getting louder is because you're not listening. You don't hear me.
And then it's, why are you angry? I'm not angry. I'm just loud.
Yeah, and I'm purposely loud because I don't think that you hear what I'm saying. Or at least I'm not getting the sense that you're hearing what I'm saying.
Chuck D got a song, Louder Than a Bomb. And he speaks about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's on the first part of the Give Me Out.
That's good stuff. And those are the kind of conversations that people
Hey, Ernest, I would love to have you on my show. Where can I reach at you on? You said, don't you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so Rob and I, we doing collective perspectives. So you can reach me at ErnestLJohnson@gmail.com.
Okay.
Are you doing the show as well?
Yeah, I do a community empowerment show on Saturdays at 5 p.m. live on YouTube.
That's brother. Okay.
And
Wait, you was the one who sent me the Benita. You sent me his show the other week. You the guy. Okay. I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. Okay, yeah, because y'all were talking about the guy about the girl in the liquor store and the baby had hit the guy, and he said, and he looked at the mama, was like, man, your baby just hit me, and she was like, and
Oh yeah. That's my man Rello. That was my man Rello. Yeah.
I was like, wow, yeah. I told it to you last week. Okay, pop, that's love, bro.
So collective perspective on YouTube.
Yeah. We
Okay.
just started it, so we're going to be putting this forums like this on there because one of the ideas is about having strategic conversations from different perspectives. So that way people can tie in. Oh, okay, I like what Son Touch is talking about. Okay, let me tune in with this brother. You know what I'm saying? Let me build with this brother. Oh, okay, I did with Brian. Where Brian's perspective is coming from. Well, I like Robert.
That's exactly why I want to have you on my show, because I own a podcast network and I have an international following.
Okay.
So I've had guys. I had Immortal Technique on my show. He's from Peru.
Okay.
I've had this guy from Guyana on my show. It's this kid from Nigeria. He wants to be on. So the more you grow, the more I grow. The more I grow, the more we grow, and we just keep.
Oh man, we like-minded, brother. Because see, that was the thing. We wanted to share each other's platforms so that we can build. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, I like what Brian doing. Let me tune into what he's doing too. You see, so yeah, we like-minded in the same sense. Okay, I definitely want to pick your brain in terms of engineering it. How you're engineering it, and just the whole approach and all that kind of good stuff. So
yep. Well, what I do is I use this platform called StreamYard.
Okay.
StreamYard, well, with $25 a month, it'll allow you to do the same. It's the exact same form, but it connects directly to YouTube. It connects directly to Facebook, and it has one gigantic chat room. It's the exact same setup, but
okay,
and, $25 a month, and it's insanely simple. And you'll have your collective perspective in the corner.
Yeah, I saw your setup. That's because I thought you were using Zoom. I'm like, how you got all these overlays on here doing that? Because you had the piece on. Because first of all, I was impressed by the books you were giving out, man. I was like, man, this brother okay, this is a real good brother right here. Anybody that's dropping books like that, But then I was impressed with the whole overlay with the Black History Month piece, how you had it all set up. Okay.
Yeah, because I did the same overlay with women in the background yesterday, because you saw all the Black History brothers.
Okay.
And on that show, and yesterday with Benita and a couple other women, I had the sisters in the background.
Ah, okay, that's love. Yeah, I'm gonna be tuning in to you, brother. Then, we
got to connect. Hey, and I don't care if you just want to pop in one day and say, hey, let me promote this. Please do. Just hit me. And then I'll shoot you the link, and you just pop in. And that's another good thing. I can send you the link. I'll put the link in the chat room. You can hit the link, and you'll be. It's like a little waiting room at the bottom of the thing. It dings on my end. Y'all don't hear it. I just hit go. I hit share screen, and we move from there.
Okay, that's love.
So as a matter of fact, I would, if you want, the doors open to every time you're having a show. If I'm on live. Hey, let me promote this. And then, okay, give me 5, and I'll just send you a text. Give me 5 minutes, send you the link, and then you come in. This is my man. This is what he's going to do. I need y'all to follow him too.
Okay. All right. For sure, brother. Appreciate you. Enjoy your night, man.
All right, man.
Hey, can I ask y'all a question real quick before you leave? Books. So like the 4 of us here, we all read a lot. Like that's one of the things that's untouching now. We always be sharing with each other. Hey, I'm reading this, I'm reading that. What do you say to people who don't read or aren't as interested in reading, or they'll say, "Oh, what, you get that from a book? Like, why don't you just use your own perspective? Why you gotta why is it all about what somebody else said in the book?"
Let Brian go, because I know he got a roll.
You know what? I don't get that, because people perceive me as some smart guy, so they don't want to say dumb things. What smart guys. But when people don't read, now with audiobooks, I tell them, look, man, get the audiobook there. Just listen to it.
Yeah.
That's all I tell them, because, or what I do is refer more rudimentary reading with the same information. Get them something that they can read in 10 minutes. Like, I call it a toilet book. Something you can read while you're sitting on the toilet.
That's
you're done with it. and then it's a breadcrumb and it keep going.
You know, we were doing Sunday school today. I never realized the Lazarus story was really a parable about what death was. Okay. Man, it blew me away as we were going through it. The way the teacher approached it, I was like, dang, this is cool. And it was saying that death is humankind's worst enemy. But notice when Jesus, when Jesus is, he says, he's speaking in parables, and then he breaks it down to it and says, then he spoke plainly to them. He says, because he kept saying, oh yeah, Lazarus is asleep. And they was like, sleep? What do you mean? He gonna rise again? And he was like, man, he spoke plainly. He was like, he's dead. And I'm like, oh wow, to be dead is to be asleep. And to be asleep is to not know. So what is really trying to help me see is that death is really not knowing. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm like, wow, this was cold the way they set this up, because the enemy wouldn't put two and two together. It wouldn't connect the dots. And so I'm like, so what Benita was talking about in terms of people not wanting to read books and people like, oh, why don't you go from your own perspective? People pride themselves on being ignorant. You know, it's like my band professor said to me, man, intelligence is a rare commodity. You know what I'm saying? And so it looked like you got a point, Brian. Go ahead, bro.
What it's amazing, and this is something I got from Dr. Carr, and he talks about how the ancestors, and I mentioned this on the show last night, how the ancestors put us together so we will be enlightened. Last week, I was talking about that Wu-Tang Clan song called Triumph with the guy who told the story. After the show, he called me, and then I was like, you know, if you listen to rap music, they telling you this. He was like, what you mean? I was like, listen to the Wu-Tang song. I said, listen to the GZA and Master Killer's verses. And I don't know the entire verse off the top of my head, but he talks about, because I know it ends with the dumb is mesmerized by the drum. And he's talking about 93 million miles. That's the light. That's the sun. Yeah. And he was like, I don't remember it all. But basically he's saying, we're giving you the information that you need. We're giving you the light. And here we are 7 days later, and you said the exact same thing. The light is knowledge. The knowledge is the truth, and it is life itself. If you stay in the dark, you are blind, and now you're being led by whatever is being told to you.
True story. And that's the key, and that's your worst enemy, is being ignorant.
I had one friend who said, by the time, if I live to be 100, I want to know 10 times the amount of information. So like he wanted to know, he was constantly reading, like constantly. Like he would lay on his back and do like a cruncher so that he could be working on his stomach muscles and everything. At the same time, he would be reading. And that he wanted to be able to have like 1,000 years worth of knowledge by the time he was 100.
Wow.
He wanted to have 10 years worth of reading for every year he was on earth. And so he knew that it was just an impossible, very, very daunting task. So he's constantly reading, constantly.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the information from both sides. I'm hearing from people who are like, you know, us who really like to read and want to learn more. And then I'm hearing from people who are saying, just stop it, you know.
Before I go, hey Ernest, do you think you can get 3 other people, men of God, with you? Because I wanted to do this show next Saturday, men of God and Black History, and y'all role and the celebration of Black History. Because the church used to be the foundation of the whole Black History movement, because we would meet together, the pastor would give you the word, then you would go out and tell people.
Okay. Give me a day and I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. Benita, give him my phone number. Text first, Ernest, because with an iPhone and AT&T, if you call me, it just goes straight to voicemail if you're not locked in.
Okay, I got you.
All right. Man, peace out, man. It was a blessing to all of y'all, man. God bless you. Great night.
All right.
Thank you, Benita.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank everybody for being here. Thanks a lot, Sun Touch. I really appreciate you. All right, Ernest.
All right, y'all.
For, setting it all up and helping to manage the conversation.
Yeah, and I couldn't share it to your page apparently. So, like you said, you cut all that off. I got you.
Yeah.
It's on Shy Guys though. All right.
Okay, peace.
All right, peace.